Message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. At 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, multiple unidentified objects were confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS T-drift.
Contact, night on the fluid orbit. The first message that comes to you is you are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms.
The vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished still far outstrip our collective comprehension.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios, all the way from the Deep South. Now, here is your host, Joe Root.
Broadcasting from a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void, and I am your host, Joe Root. Welcome. It is Tuesday night, February the 4th, on into the 5th, and our guest tonight, host of the Enlighten Up podcast, Nicole Frolic, is with us. And I had the pleasure of being a guest on Nicole's podcast. It was pretty fun. So we're going to talk about her teachings and what she teaches about. She's a life coach, talks quite a bit about alchemy, and we're going to get into that just shortly. I want to thank the sponsors on the network at GetTheTea.com, also AncientLifeOil.com, and Barbara Charlton's Metaphorical Archaeology. If you've had a paranormal experience and you've had some trauma or post-traumatic stress from it, give them a call at 214-995-3754. Also, head over to UFOseekers.com, backed and supported by the Fringe FM and Lighting the Void. So if you want to keep a journalistic approach to what's going on, follow them on social media at UFO Seekers, at UFO Seekers, on Twitter. And if you've had a sighting you'd like to report, give them a call at 661-UFO-7889. So I got this new fancy sound system in, so I know it sounds kind of different, and I'll be tweaking it as we go along here, tweaking on it. But last night, man, I'll tell you what's been going on, all right, just so you wonder what happened last night, because I know some of y'all are wondering. And I'll admit it, I'm not perfect, but I planned on doing the show. Actually, I had somebody, I was going to take a nap because I'd been working 2 days straight behind the scenes on this deal that, I can't really get into, but it's like a broadcasting kind of deal. And I've been working on it. And, I didn't sleep for 2 days. So I said, you know what, I'm going to lay down for a nap. And I had a friend of mine. I told her, I said, look, call me just call me, so give me a wake-up call. Kind of like you do at the hotels when you need to get up. Well, I went into a coma. And when I got up, it was too late anyways. Raw canceled. And I was like, you know what, I need sleep. So I'm not proud to admit it, but I would have done it if I had to do it again, and I would have made the same choice. Trust me. You can't go too long without sleep. You know why? You know what happens? You start seeing colors and stuff, and then you start laughing and giggling for no reason. And then after that, it gets really weird, So you have like these sentences that go through your head, and you can't even say anything. You just grunt like an Indian. That's when you shouldn't be doing a talk show. So I just, I laid down, and that's how things went. Sorry if I let you down. But we wasn't really going to have a show last night anyway, so I played the best of, and a lot of you got to hear Richard Allen Miller, so there you go. All right, do I have any announcements to make? Oh, I do. As a matter of fact, this is going to be one hell of a week, actually. Hell's not a bad word. Look here. I got this button too, so if you guys call in and say a bad word, I can hit it, and it's working now. I want somebody to do it on purpose just so I can use the dang thing. So if nobody curses tonight, I'm going to, just so I can use this button. What was I saying? Oh yeah, this week Nicole's here, right? Which is cool. And then tomorrow night, it's been a long, long time, but Daniel Joseph is coming back. from the Researchers of Truth. He'll be here tomorrow night. And then also another guest that hasn't been on the program on Thursday, Amalia Young Karras will be with us. So it's going to be a pretty packed week. All right. So let's get on with this because Nicole's here and she's waiting and it's late and she's not a late night. Well, she's going to be a late nighter after this is all over with. But Nicole Frolic is an inspirational speaker, intuitive life coach, co-host of the Enlighten Up podcast, creator of the self-transformative program AlcheME, and the author of Inflexible Me, which expanding past the inflexible barriers of the body, mind, and soul. That's what that book's about. And she believes in being the model of the change you wish to see in the world and demonstrates that through living authentically. You got to live authentically. We talk about that a lot, right? Coming out of the spiritual closet in 2016, she has used her YouTube channel as a platform to speak her truth and share her experience and knowledge that's led her through a transformative process of self-alchemy. Her deepest joy comes from sharing this process with others through her intuitive coaching, tarot readings, a variety of online courses available in her Inflexible Me Academy, including her latest program called AlcheME, guided meditations, her book Inflexible Me, her weekly podcast Enlighten Up, and her latest series on vulnerability called Raw and Real. And the website is inflexibleme.com for reference. And also you can go to enlightenup.us. What's up, Nicole? It's good to have you on here.
Hey, Joe. I'm glad that I get a refreshed and renewed you tonight.
Yeah. Well, this is a new me. I'm a brand new me right now. You believe that?
I'm so proud of you for doing what you did.
Yeah. Well, I had to. I had to sleep yesterday.
Well, through self-love, we are nurtured and then we are able to be of service. So it's the only way.
That's right. I believe that. I totally believe that. And when I came on your show and talked to you guys, it was fun because was I the first person that you ever talked to about out-of-body experiences? Is that the first time y'all did that?
I think so.
Did you try it afterwards?
I think so. You know what? I've tried, but it seems that when I try, I end up hitting the wall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens like that. But that's all right. I mean, you just got to keep trying, though. But right now, I think this is a really good thing you're teaching. Vulnerability, man. That's something that we're all kind of scared of being, right? But I think the lesson that you're trying to teach people is, look, you can't be authentic without being a little vulnerable, right?
Mm-hmm. And every time one of us allows ourselves to be vulnerable, we give permission to others around us to be vulnerable too. That's
right. That's exactly right. That's why people, do you say stuff on your show that normally most people wouldn't? Because I do.
Yeah, we're totally open to anything and everything. We do not censor any. We don't have a button either, like you.
What's a podcast? Those don't matter. The button's just for radio syndication.
Yeah, I know.
But you know what I mean? Like, you start telling your story and it gets a little personal and you get a little vulnerable. Why can't I say that word right? Vulnerable. Vulnerable.
I know. Now that you've brought awareness to it, it becomes a bit of a tongue twister. But
that's weird.
We believe that the best way for people to connect to your message or your story is to know that you're just like them. So, laying it all out there, sometimes people are like, you don't have to say everything, which is true. You don't have to say everything. But if you're really honest and raw and truthful about all aspects of yourself and what you're experiencing, then you tend to resonate with more people because there's a level of, human connection there, just knowing that we're all human.
Yeah, I think it's more fun when you say everything. I think when you say stuff where people go, oh, man, I don't think I would have said that, But other people go, yeah, I know how he feels. Like that works. It does. And I'm not doing it because it works. I'm just actually, if you guys don't understand it, I think if everybody did a podcast or maybe an audio journal or a blog or something where they just kind of even get vulnerable. I said it again. All right. If they get that way and just let it out, how much better they'd feel. It's almost like you're giving yourself permission to feel that way too,
Yeah. And I've felt, well, what I've realized through especially my Raw and Real series, which I only started in November, but I've realized that through your sharing some of the most, the rawest parts of you, the parts that you really feel uncomfortable to share with other people, the parts that you don't even like to look at within yourself. When you start to share what maybe it's a trauma or an experience that was painful, just by putting it out there, you're reducing the emotional charge behind it, because you're bringing light to it. You're not letting it have power in the darkness. And so by bringing it into the lightness, you dissolve the power of the pain, and you really eliminate the charge slowly but surely over time as you speak your truth.
That's so right. I'm so with you on that. I get letters from people, though, sometimes it's like, man, maybe I shouldn't have, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Right? Like I shouldn't
really?
have said. Yeah, because
you haven't, or like,
yeah, so like the last week, I went through some stuff and talked about it. And I think you go through a lot. You go through alchemy in all aspects of your life. If you keep up with astrology and tarot, you can see it happening. And if you study the esoteric, it talks about, they call it astro alchemy or astrological alchemy. And you do this, man, through like the tough stuff in your life, relationships. So I kind of spilled my whole week about what happened when I was out of town, and people are like, man, I got this message that said, man, you're a hopeless romantic. You need to slow down and all this stuff. But it's kind of who I am too at the same time. So that's where we learn a lot of stuff, I think, is imbalance, Oh,
well, all I would say to that person is, what about your experience made that person so uncomfortable with it?
I don't know. That's a good question, because a lot of people liked it. I think a lot of people liked hearing about it. I mean, come on. And how did Howard Stern get so big? And I'm not saying I'm trying to be like Howard Stern, but he put it all out there. All of it. Stuff I wouldn't even say. Think about that.
Well, the reality is that we all create our own reality. And if that person brought you into his reality, then he was destined to hear what you had to say. And for whatever reason, it triggered that response from him. And it's not right or wrong. It's perfect, right? And so the question is, instead of projecting his discomfort onto you, is to look inward and say, hey, why did I have that response to that?
Yeah, stop projecting your uncomfort onto me, dude. For real. But you're right. You're totally right. And but a lot of it, what I went through, is what you're talking about in some of your courses, like in your videos, harmonizing masculine and feminine energies, transmuting. We talked about this with Richard Allen Miller too, transmuting our wounded parts of ourselves into wild for union and all this stuff, man. Like that's part of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I love talking about the masculine and feminine energies. It's so important, and it's so distorted right now. Like the perception of masculine and feminine has been so distorted throughout the times in our society for obvious reasons, to keep us in suffering and to keep us in victim and perpetrator mode. But I love talking about that stuff. It's so important. And once you understand the true essence of your own masculinity and femininity, it unleashes the life force of creation and power within you.
Yeah, it does. Because I've actually figured out that, I was raised to not let that out, to not let any feminine side of me out. Like when I was a kid, I was raised by my dad, right? So when I was a kid, if you cried or whined about anything or complained too long, you needed to. I can understand the complaining, but when a kid comes to you for affection and you tell them to shut up or whatever, stop whining, etc., after a while they start to develop this wall, and they put that feminine side inside of them, like deep, and it's always been deep, deep buried inside of me, right? So anytime I would express emotion or affection or anything like that, I would stop, or it would make me feel like I shouldn't do it, almost like there's some type of shame there,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I had the same experience with you. Even as a girl, I was totally shamed. out of my femininity, and I was very comfortable with my masculinity, although I have to say it was much more of the wounded masculinity, you know. But I was also told not to cry. I have a wonderful family, but you know, like we all evolve over time, and we're in a much better place now. But growing up, I was made fun of in my family when I cried. And so I learned that I had to be tough in order to survive and to get through and to not show any sort of soft interior. It had to be really hard. And that's why my Raw and Real series is so important to me, because it's so important to reconnect with all of that, those parts of you, the femininity, the softness, the nurturing, the kindness, the just that abstract feeling of knowing you're held within the space of the infinite, and to be able to express that. And I was never encouraged to express that. So I know exactly how you feel. I
think a lot of us are that way. And then we wonder why we have problems in friendships, family, and relationships and stuff. Because I think if you're one-on-one with a friend, right? I don't know how to explain this. Like, it's hard to express, like I'm working on expressing my emotional self, like on this show to the public where there's thousands of people listening. Okay. But then, one-on-one, I'm finding it a lot easier right now than I used to be. In other words, if I'm talking to a friend, or if I'm with my son, or if I'm on a date or something, like I don't find it hard anymore. But I think once we let it out, this thing happens, Nicole, and maybe you can help coach me here, since that's what you're good at, is the pendulum swings too far, right?
Always.
You know what I mean? It really swings out there, and you got to like bring it back in a little bit. You got to be careful, right?
Well, here's the thing, and I actually talked about this in one of my masculine feminine talks, is I drew the symbol, the yin and yang. And, you know, you have the femininity, the dark aspect of the symbol, and then the white with the black dot on the other side, the masculine side. And if you were to draw two lines down the center, that's your path. That's the infinite. That's the void space of the polarities. And the only way to really understand the opposite of the other is to go to the extremes. And the further out to the extremes you go, for instance, if you go into the pain, then you're bound to experience its opposite, which is pure joy. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's if we're entering that kind of place where we do go to the extremes, it's because we need to learn something and allow us to access the what we would consider in this world of duality, the more preferential side.
Yeah, right. I get what you're saying. But, you know, another thing, too, is like the masculine, feminine, or let's call it the patriarchy, right? So women have been pushing their rights and pushing the feminine since, God, the 60s, right? I think. And it's really kind of peaking now. But I think sometimes that it swings so far that I've experienced some pushback, honestly, just because I'm a single white male. I'm a man, right? You know, and I shouldn't do that. And everything I say, people get, especially certain, let's just say certain types of women and even men that are like extremely all about the feminine. And I think the pendulum is way too far. They get upset about things that it's not even what I mean. Like let's say, for example, if you came in somewhere and I held the door for you, or I pulled a chair out for you or something, Nicole, and then you were like, well, I'm a grown woman, I can do that for myself, you know, that kind of stuff. I'm like, hey, whoa, you know, what's the deal here, right? And it's all about that stuff.
I do not subscribe to that form of feminism at all. You know what? It's not about whether you can do it or not. It's a gracious gesture. It's chivalry. And I think it's beautiful. Yeah. And I gladly accept any door held open or chair pulled out for me openly.
Yeah. Like you guys, you can't complain about men if you're not letting them be men. You know what I mean? Because a man has to know his role in your life. That's important to him. That's important to, I think I lost you there for a minute. But what I was saying is like a man has to know his role in a woman's life, kind of. or it gets confused, and then it doesn't work. You got to let the energies play the way they're supposed to.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And, you know, I have a lot of friends who are like the women you were describing earlier. And it's interesting to me to observe, because that's what it actually is instead of embracing their femininity, they're trying to be masculine. And it's the inverse of what they're truly trying to attain. And it backfires. And ultimately, what we see is that most of these women are not happy and tend to find themselves alone. So there's a lot of suffering there, but it's perpetuated and created by the very ideology that modern feminism propagates. So it's all part of us coming back into the understanding of what it means to be masculine and what it means to be feminine, and knowing that each one has its own beauty, and not to try to dissolve the two into one. When we talk about unity and becoming one, it doesn't mean that you dissolve the feminine and the masculine into just one thing. Each part has its, like you said, its role. And what unity is when the two energies are dancing in harmony together and moving in synergy, and accepting of the other one, and knowing where its own strengths are and when to lean on the other. Yeah,
right. Man, you said that really well. I am totally in agreement with you. It's like you don't want to find yourself in a situation too. Like, we all have masculine and feminine inside of us all, and it's okay. I mean, it's okay if you got if you're a man and you got a little bit more feminine in you than you do masculine, or vice versa. It's okay as long as you're being authentic about it. But I think if you can learn, and maybe you can correct me here, if you can learn your nature, then you could probably pick your partners a lot better too, you know? I bet.
Yeah. And the reality is the more harmonized you are within yourself and accepting of your own masculine and feminine energy, the more you'll attract someone who's in alignment with that as well. So it's all about first coming into acceptance with your own masculine and femininity within. So for me, for instance, I was very, I rejected my own femininity for a very long time. And I believed that to be feminine was to be weak. A lot of that was instilled upon me through observing the relationship between my mother and father, but also through the indoctrination of the schooling systems, and then media and all of that kind of stuff. We were, programmed to believe a lot of the stuff that really is not true. And so through my own journey, it's actually, do you know what really shifted things for me, Joe, about femininity?
What was that?
Was in 2000 and I want to say 2001 or 2. It might have been 2002. Yeah. I was estranged from my father for 6 months. He kind of disowned me. We had a huge argument, and I had moved out of the house and got an apartment with a girlfriend. And my mother was very sick. We didn't know what was wrong with her, but she was slowly becoming a different person. And she had all the signs of depression, yet the doctors couldn't diagnose her as depressed for some reason. And she was gaining a lot of weight. She stopped taking care of herself. She stopped wanting to be social. She stopped cleaning the house. She stopped cooking meals. Like, she really just had no life force within her. And this became a point of contention for my father, who's very traditional, and also for a couple of my siblings. And they seemed to gang up on her. And I'm just the kind of person who, as soon as I see someone being ganged up on, I come to their kind of, I guess, protection. And so I would I would give my mom the voice that she was never using. And this caused a lot of contention between my father and I. And I ended up leaving the house. So fast forward 6 months from that, I haven't talked to my dad in 6 months, and I'm on the treadmill at this gym where I'm working. And he calls me on my cell phone. And I pick up the phone and I'm like, Dad. And he's starts crying.
Well, you know what we're going to do, because I don't know why the connection keeps dropping on her, but we're going to leave off. We're going to have to leave off right there and take a break where she stopped where her dad was crying, just because I have to fix this connection. But yeah, I hate to leave you guys on a cliffhanger like that, but yeah, just stay with us. We'll finish the story with Nicole. Be right back.
This is Corbin, son of the one and only Joe Root, and you're listening to the Fringe FM.
I think by now we can get the information.
I love magic, and on Lighting the Void, each and every week, you will get to hear shows about magic, mysticism, and many other subjects that stretch your mind and imagination. So when I got my mind on the magic and the magic on my mind, I listened to Lighting the Void on the Fringe FM. It's magic.
May the gods look with favor upon you.
You're wondering what we're going to do to you, aren't you?
Okay, here we go. AncientLifeOil.com. AncientLifeOil.com. Now, this is for CBD. AncientLifeOil.com. Again, for CBD. Where do I get CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. It's pretty good stuff. Organic, non-GMO. We are the Ferrari of CBDs. AncientLifeOil.com. You know, they say when you mention a person's name 3 times when you first meet, that you're going to remember. So I'd say to you, nice to meet you, AncientLifeOil.com. It's AncientLifeOil.com, right? Nice to know that you help people. AncientLifeOil.com. Think about this. Occasional stress, occasional anxiety, occasional inflammation, occasional stiffness, and intruders that get you down. AncientLifeOil.com. Okay, so I'm going to give you a fact for the day. So Ancient Life Oil does not help you with business deals. Hold on a second. If you feel better, it could help you make a better decision. Okay, I'm wrong. Just remember to go to AncientLifeOil.com.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
All right, everyone, this is Justin from the UK. Excuse the chitty. If you're into the Fringe and you want to hear the brass tacks, my old china plate, Joe Roop and his guests on Light in the Void will open your mince pies. You need to shut your northern self and use your 10-speed gears and listen to them bubble. You could hear a Barry Crocker, no Brussels, but he ain't no holy friar. Anyway, you beat a Barnaby Rudge and take a butcher's.
Tonight on Lighting the Void. Don't forget the show will be here for you 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Pacific to midnight. And then after the show, the Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable will be on. And hopefully we got this connection problem fixed, because you left us with one hell of a cliffhanger there, Nicole. Your dad called and cried, and that's not something you would usually do, right? It doesn't sound like.
No. He was very much a stoic. Kept everything inside, never let anything show on the outside what was going on internally. So when I received that phone call, I was shocked. Number one, because my dad never likes to be the one who makes the first move to talk. So that in itself was a big deal. But he couldn't find my mom. And what had happened is she had gone to a the hospital to go to a meeting that was for like depressed people, and even though they weren't diagnosing her as depressed, and as she was getting on the off ramp to get to the hospital, she ended up throwing up all over herself, and she sat in the parking lot completely covered in her own vomit and was too embarrassed to go into the hospital, and so instead she left, and because of we didn't know what was wrong with her. She wasn't herself at all. She was completely disappearing from the mother I always knew. And she forgot how to get home. And so she got lost for probably 14 hours. She didn't arrive home till midnight later that night. So my father takes her to the hospital, the next day. They run some tests and they find a brain tumor the size of a grapefruit inside her head, like pressing down on her olfactory nerve, which is, we later realize, is why she lost her sense of smell. So the night before her surgery, I kind of went into the hotel or the hospital, and I sat by her bedside, and I was kind of in there going with all my essential oils and trying to prep her body for surgery and trauma and all that kind of stuff, and just letting her know that she wasn't alone. And just before the nurses came in to roll her out and get her prepped for surgery, I could tell because I'm so empathic, I could tell my mom was terrified inside. And I started crying. And she looked at me and she said that everything was going to be absolutely fine. I had nothing to worry about. And I thought about it. Here my mom is about to go in and have her whole head opened up, and a tumor, which we did not know if it was benign or malignant at the time, removed. There was no guarantee, obviously, at that time. And she was so brave and put on such a courageous face in front of me when I know deep down she was completely terrified. And in that moment, it shifted my whole perception of her. And what I believed was now courage and strength. Whereas for the feminine, I never saw the feminine as strong. I always viewed the feminine as weak. And she just shifted everything for me. And I saw her as a hero that day. And so that helped. That was, I think, one of the beginning points for me to begin my own journey.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
But
but it's so beautiful at the same, like, if we think about it, my mom, in a way, that tumor did so many things. It sparked my own journey of femininity, but it also brought my family back together. So where our family was completely separated, her surgery is what brought us all back together.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Isn't that, so you talk about that too, like we get this through, I guess it's wounding, and through the dark times in our life is when we make the biggest leaps and bounds, and I guess you could say transformation or alchemy or whatever you want to call it. It hardly ever happens when we're comfortable, It
never happens when we're comfortable.
You see those memes of people like or initiation and spiritual ascension isn't like this. They have a picture of somebody doing like rainbows and all that stuff. And then they have another picture. They have another picture of somebody drowning, like this is what spiritual ascension is really like, and that's what it feels like. It feels like you're going through hell sometimes.
Yes. Yeah, it absolutely does. But that's just the path of suffering, and how we are meant to, dissolve the illusion that we are separate.
So what do you think the biggest thing is when people come to you and they need help with? Is it usually being vulnerable, or is it not, or they're not able to find the right person, or what is one of the biggest reasons people come to you for help?
Well, it's this sense that there's more, and they're not tapping into it. And when we start to awaken and we start to realize that not everything is as it seems, and we start to question a lot. We maybe question our jobs, we question our relationships, we question our own happiness. It's because we're starting to make that journey back into ourselves, that internal journey back to understanding and remembering who we really are. Because we're taught through society to really live an inauthentic life. You know, we have to be a certain way, we have to look a certain way, we have to act a certain way, despite how we may be feeling on the inside. And it's this desire to return back to what is truth within us that I find is the big desire that most people have when they're looking for coaching.
Yeah, they just don't know. They don't feel right because there's got to be something more to it. I totally understand that. I mean, I've ran into people that tell me that. They're like, I feel like I'm supposed to do something, or there's somewhere I'm supposed to go or something, and I don't know what it is. And it's like, well, you know, I have a hard time relating to that because I've always, I guess it's the Aries in me. I don't know, but I've always chased whatever I was afraid of or whatever made me uncomfortable because I don't like it. I don't like having it. I don't like things having that much power over me, but not everybody's that way. And I think if we stay in our comfort zone too long, then we start to get confused, right? Where it's like, I don't know why I'm here. I know I'm here to do something, but I don't know what it is, you know?
You know, it's interesting. Before I came on the show tonight, I was in meditation and I was being shown the void, and I was being shown like these 3 blue lights, like blazing through the void, dancing with one another and coming into like a vortex of spiraling unity. And while that was all happening, I just received this download, and it was, the funny thing about pain is that the only way out is in. And I know there's a saying of the thing about pain is the only way out is through it. But the truth is that the only way to get through it is first to lean into it. And most people don't want to lean into their pain. Their instinct is to lean out. And we have to learn to embrace the pain and be okay with it and know that it's an experience that we created, ultimately designed by us, because nothing is outside of us. Everything is within us. And if we're experiencing something in our reality that we don't like, or maybe is showing up and we're trying to avoid it, it's because that higher self, that higher part of us, is calling out and designing to create it, to bring awareness to something within us that's out of alignment.
God, and it sucks too, doesn't it? It's like it's never fun when that happens. You know, it's not like you're just having a picnic and you're like, oh yeah, well I remember what I was supposed to do. You know, usually it's an illness, or it's a heartache, or it's a wound of some kind. It's like you talk about that, wounds. Richard Allen Miller talked about that. Transmutation through healing of wounds, but you can't heal the wound until you can first identify it. And you know what? As funny as like when you have that kind of pain, if you do lean into it, you don't really ask the important questions until you lean into it. If you lean into it and feel it, then you're going to ask. I think the first question people ask, Nicole, is why? Why am I doing this? Why did this happen? If you can get to where you're asking that question, why, then I think that's when you really start to get down to it. And then you start asking why again. Does that make sense what I'm saying at all?
Yeah. I mean, your awareness is the most important thing. And they say, like Osho says, like, awareness is the greatest alchemy there is. And so because you cannot change what you're not aware of, but once you're aware of something, you can't help but change it. And so, yeah, having that awareness will allow all of the questions to come in.
Like, here's something I figured out
big ones
too, and you'll probably laugh because I just now figured this out. Like, if you're in the dating world, and there's a lot of you listening that are, and you say, man, I want this kind of person in my life, right? Well, you're probably not doing that many visualizations of the kind of person that you want, or trying to manifest it. What you end up doing a lot of times is attracting the things that you need to work on. and those people show up. You ever notice that?
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's the funny thing.
But I'm not saying that they're better, but they may cause hell.
No.
But they'll bring out something that makes you work on something.
Well, here's the thing. The very thing that we want in someone else is the very thing we're probably lacking in ourselves.
Yeah.
And so, yes, that's why you end up attracting someone who's going to challenge you and bring up certain issues like that, because you haven't created it first in you.
And I think that's friends too. Like friends, I don't know. It seems like the friends in my life are a little different, because I've got like friends like Dan who've been there. I have a lot of older friends, and I keep a lot of older friends around on purpose, because when I come to them with something that's happened in my life, they've already been through it. They may not know all the answers, but they can pretty much tell me what's going to happen. And so it's funny, because Dan, he'll tell me something and I won't listen to him, and I'll go back, and about the second or third time he'll be like, well, I wasn't going to stop you. You're not the kind of guy that learns on advice. And I was like, nope, I'm not. I just keep sticking my finger in that light socket till I get tired of it. And but that's who I am. But at least, that's how you learn, right?
Mm-hmm. I totally resonate with that, because I'm one who tends to learn her lessons the hard way as well. It's almost like I got to beat that dead horse until it's glue.
Like you might not be right. I think I can change this person maybe, or I think I can do this, no matter what you say. And then after a while you accept it. You're like, okay, I was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then what I tend to beat myself up afterwards, though, really bad. Like, oh, I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? I knew I shouldn't have done it. Everybody told me not to do it, but I kept doing it. And then it takes a while for me to stop beating myself up. I don't know why I do that, but I do.
We often do that, where we'll act out a situation, much like watching a train wreck. Like you don't want to look, but you can't turn away. It's almost like the same thing with, going into the places where we really need to go, but we can't stop ourselves because that lesson isn't learned yet. Eventually, it's going to hurt enough where you're going to have to surrender.
Back in school, they used to call me, some people call me, why did I do that, Joe? Because I would actually do something stupid, like, I don't know, throw something across the classroom or something. And then right after I would do it, I would squint and go, man, why did I do that? Because I knew it was about to happen. I was about to get in trouble, and I always did. So I always knew I messed up, like right after it happened. But, back to this gender thing. I mean, come on, look, for the feminazis out there, like, cool it, because here's the thing. And Nicole, you can get mad at me if you want, but here's the thing. Like, we all know who's got the power anyways in these relationships. So you don't have to hold up a picket sign and say, I need more power and men need less power. I mean, come on. We all know who's got the power, and a lot, being feminine or being a little submissive doesn't mean that you're weak. Matter of fact, a lot of times, if you really look at that whole, and this is something else too, like that whole, I think it's, what is it? The domineering, submissive circle. That's kind of like, that's part of the masculine and feminine energies too. If you really look at that, there's not, and you study really study it. Neither one has more power over the other, because a person is not going to submit to you or be submissive to you in any kind of way if they don't trust you, if they don't think that you're that kind of person. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's part of it.
Here's the thing about it all, is that there are certain aspects of the masculine energy, okay, being masculine, that draw its strength from the feminine,
exactly,
the feminine's ability to allow. And so when women, it's not so much that they're being submissive. A woman who's very strong in her own femininity and knows her true power when she's in that divine feminine space, is she knows that she's holding the space for the man to feel his own virility, his own power, his own masculinity. And she's holding that for him because she's the, in a way, it's almost like she is that kind of, I always say the feminine energy, and some people get really turned off by this because they're misinterpreting it. But the feminine energy is very much like the 5D, because the 5D is the unseen, it's the energetic essence, it's the abstract, and it's not tangible. And the masculine is more 3D because it is tangible, it's linear, it's logical, we understand it, it's right here in front of our faces. It doesn't mean that as a man you aren't spiritual. I just want to make that clear. But it's through the dance of the two where the woman knows that she can be also held by the man and given the space to do her own thing in her own abstract way. There's a real beauty in this idea of when a woman can surrender into her masculine and allow the masculine to then surrender into her.
Yeah, I guess
that's when it actually happens.
Submissive is probably a bad word, but it's something that I've noticed in nature. Like I mean, you watch the Animal Planet, for God's sake, right? You can see it, you know. But here's and another thing too I used to find funny is like I watch my grandmother and grandpa back, before my grandma passed away, and everybody knew that grandma had the power. My grandma had all the power, right? But she was so comfortable in her feminine, right? I mean, she just was, and she let my grandpa take the lead and do this or that. And if somebody said something, you better do it. And she'd look at you, if he said to do something. But if he got out of line or something and she didn't like something that happened, she could stop everything. So it's not, I don't mean submissive like that, like slave submissive. I mean like what you're talking about, where like this whole force and form idea, mm-hmm. and she could just cut it off. She'd be like, Dave, and give him that look, and he would be, oh boy, and everybody would, like, you could see the power shift, but she never really came out of her feminine or anything. It's just like she had the real power there,
Yeah, and he here's the great thing is that the woman is free to express herself through the power of the masculine protecting her.
Right.
That's a really beautiful thing. And so she knows she's protected. She knows she's free to express herself and to exert her own power when needed, that she's able to speak her truth because in the end, the masculine is protective of her and provides the structure for her to do so.
Right. See, and I know Amalia is going to come on the show later on the week and talk about the patriarchy and all that, but we still need to, I think the pendulum's swinging too far back and forth, right? Like here's not
the thing.
In the middle yet.
As long as we continue to point the finger at the opposite, whatever, gender, energy, whatever you want to call it, what you're doing is you're pointing so say as a woman, I'm saying the problem is the man, because he suppressed me, he held me back from my power, he all this. What I'm really doing is shaming my own masculine energy. So until we understand that we're in this together and we should be honoring one another and knowing that each of us has played a role in the journey to get back to where we are, we have to let go of the past. We have to let go of we can't be bound to that trauma anymore because you can't heal it when you're bound to it. And so when we let that go, then we're no longer at war with one another. We're at peace. And that's the only way.
I totally agree with you on that. We got to stop fighting each other and come into our own. We got to stop. Yeah. I mean, we got to stop fighting each other, period, on that. I've seen that happen in the chat room too. Like somebody will say something and then either you'll see a woman get on her campaign about the patriarchy, or you'll see a dude get on a campaign about how women are always this way. And I try to nip it in the butt because I don't like to see it get out of hand because it's extremely polar, man. And polarization is the one thing that they do to control us. It's how we become weak. So why would we do that to each other?
Yeah, and here's the thing too, is that I just don't subscribe to victim mentality. I'm not going to be a victim. I'm going to be a creator, and I'm going to be the hero of my own life. And the only way that I'm going to be the hero of my own life is if I come to peace with everything within me, which is my own masculine and feminine. And the only way that that gets projected out into the world to be showcased in our reality is through that understanding of doing that work inward. So as long as I continue to blame something outside of me, I'm subscribing to the victim mentality, and I just don't subscribe to that at all. It's something that keeps you in bondage to your suffering.
Right. Yeah. And I see some people, exactly. And you don't have to be a victim to anybody or anything. Like I see some people talking about this in chat with their exes and stuff. With masculinity, there's a difference and every one of us has masculinity in us. Just like we all have a little, it just depends, right? But there's a difference in being assertive and being aggressive. Okay. Like I had to learn that growing up because I'm a fiery kind of guy, and growing up from a child up, I would get too aggressive. But as I get older, I'm learning the difference. Okay. Less aggression, more assertion. There's a big difference there. And you can do the same thing, as a, even being in your feminine nature. You don't have to be a victim. You can be assertive. Just come into your masculine, or just come into your feminine. See, I think we relate like words like or assertion to masculine or femininity, and you can be assertive either way. I really believe you can. But then again, I don't know. Did we lose you? Yeah, we keep losing her. I think we got one of those Wi-Fi connections going on here. Are you back with us, Nicole?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. I don't know why it keeps dropping out. I'm so sorry.
It could be me. I am on a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Arkansas. But what I was saying is we use words like assertion, and we think that's automatically a masculine thing, and not necessarily. It doesn't have to be. And I don't think we should be grouping these energies like that. I mean, the whole secret to alchemy and magic is learning how to use these energies properly within ourselves and with each other, right?
Yeah, well, the thing is, assertive is masculine energy, but we all have that within us. Mm-hmm. And so we can all utilize it, but to not forget the counter feminine energy of that. And that's surrender. And there's something beautiful about that as well. So, like I said, it's about knowing how to do the dance. And we've forgotten the dance. We're so concerned with dancing solo that we've forgotten how to work with one another.
It's no fun dancing solo. I can tell you that right now. It's fun for a little while, but then it's not fun. We'll be right back with Nicole Frolic. We'll also open the lines up if you want to call in too. There's 1-800-588-0335. More Lighting the Void. Stay with us.
Listening to The Fringe FM.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
I'm Ryan Gable, and I want to remind you to keep your radio, phone, tablet, or computer tuned to the Fringe FM, and visit the website thefringe.fm to listen to the entire lineup of shows. You can also catch my broadcast, The Secret Teachings, Monday through Friday, beginning at 12 a.m. midnight U.S. Pacific Time, right here on the Fringe FM.
Alex. Hi, I'm Alex Exum, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
Get the Tea is the #1 cleansing tea in America. We cleanse you with organic ingredients, and when used daily, you can increase your energy. Cleanse from intruders that set up camp in your colon. Cleanse your colon, and feel the difference. Colon cleanses can be uncomfortable. Not Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea is mild yet truly effective. Cleanse your insides every day. Easy to make, easy to use, and feel the results. Here's how to order. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Look for our specials on the front page. Get the Tea also carries top-rated supplements for those who care about their health naturally. Again, log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com and feel the results. And for those of you that arm yourself with information, come to our webinar every other Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. That's every other Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific. You can sign up at getthetea.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Are UFOs real? Are aliens visiting Earth? Are governments around the world hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO Seekers, official partner of the Fringe FM, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Join us as we investigate locations like Area 51 by subscribing on YouTube at youtube.com/UFO Seekers.
This is Reverend John M. Polk. Please visit me at johnpolkmedia.com and visit my show, Quantum Hologram Matrix, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, every Tuesday on thefringe.fm.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Hola, Fringe listeners. This is Dave Cruz of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to the Fringe FM.
To call Joe, pick up the phone, dial 1-800-588-0335, toll free from the United States or Canada.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. EnlightenUp.us is the website tonight with our guest, Nicole Frolic. Also, inflexiblemE.com. That's where you can go get the courses. And you've been doing your podcast for a while, Nicole. How's that been going for you? I didn't even ask. Has it been picking up? Yeah, you have been having some great guests on. I haven't checked in on you in a while. I feel pretty bad about that, actually.
No, yeah, it's been really good. Gosh, I think we're about to do our 140th episode.
140th,
so we're almost 3 years in. Yeah, we're almost 3 years in.
Yeah, have you learned anything yet?
That's fun. Yeah, I mean, it's such a huge blessing doing that podcast. It's connected me to people like you, and I know Mary DeCina, who's on your show, and so many people. And I just learned so much, and I feel so blessed to have these conversations with everyone. So it's nice to have an expanded network just through the podcast alone, but also to, explore different things and open our minds. It's great.
Yeah. I feel like I've done 400 and something episodes, and I feel like I'm still asking the same questions over and over again. And you know what I'm finding out, Nicole, is that we're all, like you told me before the show started, you were talking about going in the void, and it's funny that we're all in this together. Like, we learn from each other, but the big questions that we have on our plates are still not answered. And no matter if you're talking to a scientist or an author or somebody that just doesn't know anything at all, none of us really have the answers to all this stuff. And I think we're learning more and more. The more we learn about ourselves, the more we're going to get to some of these answers. But I know that when I talked to you guys the first time on your show, I talked a lot about magic and the occult and the out-of-body experience. And back then I was really nervous to talk about those things. Honestly, I was really nervous to talk to you about it. Yeah, because it was one of the first shows that someone had asked me to come on as a guest. And usually if I come on as a guest, I'm going to have to spill more than I would as a host. And it makes me nervous to talk about these things because those are sensitive subjects to me. Because of where I'm from, people get judged for that a lot, you know?
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, a lot of us are judged by it. But, you know, the one thing I've really learned is that the more I speak my truth and throw the worry of judgment out the window, which of course is never fully thrown out the window, but the more I attract people who are accepting, because through us being willing to accept ourselves and share that authentically, we're ultimately saying, I accept me how I am. And so I'm going to speak from that place of acceptance that naturally will draw on the vibration of acceptance around you. So more people will show up that actually will be more supportive of you as opposed to judgmental.
Fantastic. And what do you think is happening when you draw these tarot cards, right? Because here's what I've learned lately. I used to do like tarot maybe once a week, you know, but now I pull cards like every day, and it really freaks me out even to this day, just how accurate it is. And sometimes I wonder, like, because when you look at a card or you look at a symbol or something that you're trying to get an answer with, I think sometimes I wonder if we're looking at a symbol and we're just kind of making it what we want it to say. But then again, it's just too perfect. It's almost like, it's really freaky, you know, and every day I pull cards every day, and I still have this like thing inside me that doesn't want to accept that this thing is accurate and it's real, because it's nothing but a deck of cards. How could it do that? And I'm on like day 486 now. You know what I mean? Do you still do the tarot?
Yeah, I still do the tarot, and I use it from time to time for myself. I use it for my clients. I do tarot readings on my YouTube channel. You know what I find with the tarot or any oracle cards is that it's really helped to open up my own intuitive abilities, to really kind of, like you said, it's hard to trust, but once you start to trust, it comes in even faster and it starts to build like a muscle. And so the key is it's very natural, Joe. We're all going to question it because we live in this, you know, concrete formed reality where, you know, we're guided by linear logic. So yes, when we are starting to come up with these things and understand that there's so many synchronicities and things falling into place, and it's hard to deny it, that's part of the lesson of accepting ourselves and accepting our own innate abilities. The quicker you accept it and learn to become more comfortable with it, the faster your intuitive abilities turn on and grow.
That's something I needed to talk to you about. I guess I should have talked to you about it in the first part of the show, is this whole thing about intuition. And based on my astrological charts and my north nodes and all this stuff, I'm supposed to learn to come into my emotional self more and listen to my intuition more. And the thing about it is the reason why I have a hard time trusting it is because I've been in situations, Nicole, where people say, well, my intuition is telling me that you're doing this because of this or whatever. And when people talk to me, and it's not it at all, I kind of laugh on the inside. You know what I'm talking about? Like when people, they accuse you of something, or they tell you how you are and you're really not that way at all. And or you're really not saying that. And then they say, well, I trust my intuition and that's what it's telling me. And I'm like, well, are you sure you're not just a head case or something? Are you sure? Are you sure that's your intuition? So I know this is a hard question, but how can we tell if something's our intuition or if it's, something just in our head that's based in fear or something? Like how do we know?
That's a really good question, Joe. And it's something that we have to really be discerning of. And that's part of our lesson of discernment, is trusting our own intuition and also knowing when to trust and not trust someone else's intuition, or what they're saying is their intuition. And it's not necessarily that they're wrong, but whatever aspect they're tuning into may not be the highest aspect of what you're tuned into. And so it's really important at the end of the day to trust in you, to really trust in what your own internal guidance system, your own GPS, your own intuition is telling you. Because, you know, like I'm sure, Joe, this happens to you all the time because we run in very similar circles where, you know, we're naturally surrounded by people who are very intuitive and believe that we're just open to receiving that information. But there's times where people just spill what they think I need to hear, and I haven't even asked for it. And I had to really understand that what someone is perceiving as their own intuition may be correct from their point of view, but that doesn't mean that their point of view is seeing the higher point of view that I may be seeing or know. So it's always important to remember that you, at the end of the day, always know what's best for you if you allow yourself to really tune into it and go into that stillness and silence. And so if you're doing that and you know yourself, then you'll know when something is off, and it is part of your duty to reject it when it's off. That's how you strengthen it. And so learning what is intuition and what is not is to also become aware of what are you projecting from the ego. Is this really just my ego wanting to be right? Is this just my ego wanting to like sound good? You know, like, is it coming from that place, or is it genuinely coming from a place that feels like, what's the word? Because your intuition is coming from a direct connection to source. And it doesn't mean that there isn't going to be filtered through your own layers of, you know, what you're going through in this moment in time. But it's about being able to discern the energy of it. You know how everything has like an energy signature?
Yeah.
It's about familiarizing yourself with that energy signature of purity, of peace, of acceptance and love, those sorts of things. And then also knowing what the energy is of the ego. You know, all the things around ego that are maybe more of like, I want to be heard, I want to be seen, I want to be known. Because sometimes we speak from that place. And, you know, I've done it myself. I've seen other intuitives do it. And it's, once you familiarize yourself with it, you can pick up on it really quickly. But that's just part of the whole lesson, because we're not taught this stuff. I almost swore. Oh my gosh, I almost just swore.
I wish you would have do it so I can hit this button.
But no one teaches us this stuff, you know, in school. So we've got to learn it through our own experiences. And it's a guessing game. It's kind of like, you know, trial and error. And that's okay. It's just kind of the way it is set up right now. I don't feel like that's going to be the way it is in the future. I believe that we're actually going to be teaching this stuff down the road. But for now, we kind of got to go in blind. Yeah.
That's what I want to. I want to make sure that the button works. So if y'all didn't hear me cuss at all, then the button worked. Tell me in the chat room if you heard me curse. But yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I think I'm trying to figure out what intuition really is. Right. So I like, that's something I'm learning, because I think when you do stuff based in fear, or if you make a decision based in fear, then a lot of times that's not really your intuition. A lot of times that's a projection. You know,
that's the ego. Mm-hmm.
That's the ego.
Yeah, that's the ego. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
All right.
Anything that's done out of fear is the ego.
Nobody heard me curse. I said it a long time ago, so that means the button works. Yeah, buddy.
Oh, that's good.
That's cool. I like playing with the toys I have in here. So anyways, but okay. Because I run into that a lot. I had some experiences with that where, like, I was with somebody and we clashed a lot because this person had a lot of masculine energy. Well, it was really strange. They would go from masculine to feminine. When they were in their feminine is when we got along really well. I mean, everything was like, God, it was magic, right? But when they were in their masculine, it was hell. And they would have intuitions that really weren't what was going on at all. And I'm like, it can't be your intuition. It just can't be. It's not even close. It's not even matching. I think sometimes our insecurities, we think are our intuitions. I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I do it too, but you know what I mean, right?
Oh, yeah. So have you ever spoken up and told them they're completely wrong?
Yeah, all the time. But they were stubborn too, like me. And they're like, yeah, I don't know, I'm like, well, so now your intuition's telling you one thing and now you think I'm lying too. Well, you did lie about that one thing, 8 months ago. Oh, Jesus. Then you can't win. Right. So, I think when I can tap into what I'm learning, and maybe you can help me with this because you're good at it. What I'm learning is when I have compassion, empathy, sympathy, things like that, things that come in that have to do with love instead of me. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I just think it's the opposite of fear is when it really works. Better for me, it does, anyways.
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing too, though, and I have to say this because it is true, at least from my own experience. When someone's saying something to you or me or anyone else out in the audience that is intuitive to them and perceived by you as not even close to the target, right? It could just be that they're completely off, and part of that, the reason why that's happening is to help you strengthen your discernment muscle into knowing what is truth and what is not. But what also can be happening is that you may not be ready to receive that information yet, or for whatever reason, it's not ready to come to the surface. So, for instance, a long time ago, I had a friend who was psychic. He is psychic, and I met him through tarot readings. He did a tarot reading for me, and we quickly became friends. And, a couple years into our friendship, he said to me one day, he's like, Nicole, I'm just getting this, really dark energy in you. There's a darkness, but not like you're dark, but like a blackness, that something happened to you when you were really young that was really traumatic. I can't even see it though. It's so dark, I can't even see it. And I had no idea what he was talking about because as far as I was concerned, my childhood was totally fine. Of course I went through my own wounding, whatever, but nothing traumatic like what he was describing. And it was only until later last year, in October of 2019, which is what spurred my whole Raw and Real series, is that I started to connect with an energy emotionally, these emotions of not feeling safe, not wanting to be alone, and being really scared and terrified started to surface within me, and the feeling of being 5 or 6 years old. And I didn't understand why. And I only recently, in the last month or so, discovered that I was sexually violated at 5 years old by someone in my extended family.
Whoa, really?
And
wow.
Yeah. Now, I had a couple people tell me that there's something really bad happened to me when I was a kid. And so I'm like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. But the reality is that I had buried it so deep, no one could really see it, but they were kind of connecting with the fact that something was blocked, and it was because it was really painful. And so the truth is that I wasn't ready to hear it or see it or deal with it until it started to surface emotionally within me. And so that could also be something that's happening out there. So I want to just put all the scenarios out there just to be fair. So it could be that someone's picking up on something that you're maybe not ready to receive yet. It's not time. Or it could just be that the lesson is for your own personal discernment.
I think it was, in my case, it was more like they had an intuition that I was lying, and I'm not lying. It wasn't like what you're talking about. It's kind of like you do a thing, let's say you check the mail, right? I checked the mail. My intuition tells me you didn't check the mail and you're lying. Okay. Well, I don't know what's up with your intuition, but yeah, I checked the mail. You see? And so I've done that before too. So like I'm trying to tap into it a little bit. And I tried it with my son, and a couple of times I was wrong. And so I've been doing these intuition experiments, and a couple of times I was right. And what happens is what I've noticed and what I've journaled with that is like when I'm not either angry or thinking about something negative, like if I'm in a state of really trying to love the other person, even if I'm afraid of something that they might be doing, that's usually when I'm right. But I still got to experiment with it more, you know. I just want to make sure that we do this, that I do it right.
Do you know your own soul language?
No, what do you mean? My own soul language?
So, okay, when people are beginning to embrace their own intuitive abilities, your body will respond in certain ways to when there is a positive intuitive thing coming in, or you're maybe not picking up on the right thing. And your body will respond in certain ways. Have you paid attention to the certain things that happen in your body that you know are that are referring to things of fidelity versus not?
No. Like a little bit. I can give you an example that I knew. Like it's a bad example, but I can give you an example of that. So when I was married for, I don't know, I was with this person for like 6 years, but I had to, you know, we kind of grew apart, right? And it's one of those situations, and I know a lot of people that are listening might have been in that situation where you're living in the same house, you're partners, you're married, but you're still alone in your own house, if that makes any sense. But so we kind of grown apart emotionally. But still yet, there was one day that I just walked in the house, and I can't explain the feeling I had. It wasn't anger. It wasn't sorrow. It wasn't even emptiness. It was just a knowing. But I felt it, and I wish I could explain it. But I looked at her, and I said, who was it? And she was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I know you cheated on me. I can feel it. It's hard to explain. Like I could feel it. And she tried to lie a couple times about it. And then I was like, just tell me. And then she broke down. She was like, how did you know that? And I felt it as soon as I walked in the door. Right. So that was one of the times. Also, like when my dad got in a car wreck at the top of the hill up here next to the house, I woke up that morning and knew something was wrong. And when my grandmother called me and I picked up the phone and I saw that it was her number, I knew that something had happened to him. Just knew it. Now, I can't explain the feeling that I had, though. I think it was more like a feeling of when the bad things happen, this bad thing is going to happen, and I knew it was going to happen. But see, I'm afraid I'm manifesting that stuff too, though, now. You know what I mean?
Well, start to pay attention, and everyone should do this, is that when you get a feeling like that or a knowing, okay, you get a knowing and you're just certain, like you just know in your cells that something is going to be happening, or you know it's something is just a truth. And then it gets confirmed to you. Go back to that, like when you're in that point where you get that knowing, pay attention to the sensations in your body, because your body starts to respond to truth and will confirm it to you. And so I've started paying attention to the way my body responds to things that I know are of truth, and what happens when something is not of truth. So it helps me discern. But the only way you're going to learn that is if you start paying attention to your body and the sensations that are coming in, because your body's going to communicate to you. Your cells are communicating to you in different ways. So that's one way for you to receive your own confirmations or to know if you're on target or not.
Yeah, like the only thing that I know for sure now is like if I'm hungry and I get a growl, I know I need to eat. Yummy. I need to put something in my tummy. right? That's the only thing I know for sure, right? But there's been a few times in my life.
Maximize that. Turn that on. Turn that on to intuition now.
Okay, I got you. So I need to. I think if I remember the feeling right, like Abby's right in the chat, it feels like a disturbance in the forest. Man, yeah, it kind of it's almost like an empty, not nervous, but empty, hollow. It's like my insides are vibrating, but not in a good way. If it's something bad, if it's something good, I'm not so good with that intuition yet. I'm working on it. I wonder why that is. How come I have easier with the bad stuff than I am with the good? That ought to tell me that's not very good, is it?
No, that just means that maybe you've had more experiences with the bad.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That would be stronger.
Yeah, that's true. God, that sounds so sad, doesn't it? But
no,
I think I'm learning though, right? And do you think if I get some coaching from you, I could be better at it? Because right now, that's the one thing that I want to be better at. Because you know what happens if you don't pick up on your good intuitions? Let's say, I'll give you somebody an example out. This has happened to so many people. Let's say there's somebody that you really like, right? And you really like this person. And they're the kind of person that doesn't really express that. Maybe because they're scared, or maybe because they're unsure of themselves, or whatever. So you never know. And then you never say anything. And then later, that person tells you 6 years later, whatever, that they had a crush on you. Now, if you had decent intuition, you'd have picked up on that and made a move or something. So I used to kick myself in the butt about that, Nicole. And all these girls would come back and say, I had a crush on you one time. And I'm like, why the hell didn't you say something? Because it makes you mad because you actually liked that person back then. But some people have the intuition where they just know and they can go, trying to develop the good stuff, you see.
Yeah, but that person would then be bypassing the lesson that they need to learn of their fear of rejection.
Yeah, like open your mouth, say something with your mouth, try something, write a note, anything.
Yeah. I mean,
we have regret. We don't want that either.
I used to be that person, really scared to express my feelings to a man and get really, obviously, very vulnerable, just out of the fear of rejection. And the reality is that I was rejecting myself. And so until I finally stopped rejecting myself and started accepting myself, I lost the fear of expressing what's in my heart, because I finally came to this acceptance within myself. So it's all projection of what's going on the inside, and once you heal that, then that fear just dissolves. It doesn't have the power over you that it used to, because it's just not even part of your reality anymore. You've completely shifted the energy within you.
Yeah, like rejection is a thing I think a lot of people are afraid of too, but you got to get past that, man. Not everybody's going to like you. Hell, not everybody in your family likes you. What makes you think everybody in the world's going to like you? Well, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't know, you're never going to know. You won't. There's friends out there that you could make too, that if you just talk to them. God, I mean, we could miss out on a lot of stuff, because I believe in this. Do you believe in that multiple timeline thing where there's a lot of different timelines going on? And if
yeah.
Yeah, see, so if that's true, then a lot of the stuff that we just didn't make that move towards, or didn't say hi, or didn't do that one thing, we miss out on a whole different story we could have been involved in.
Yeah. I always say, one of the things that I always ask myself is, and I go over this with all of my coaching clients in the beginning, is, if you want your life to be a reflection of your joy and your love, your choices have to reflect that as well. So if you're making a choice from fear, then the reflection in your life is going to be based in fear. So whenever I'm about to make especially like big choices, I ask myself, am I making this choice because I'm scared of something, or because I'm embracing something that is like part of like love for me, you know, like whether it's something that's going to be supportive to me or something like that, you know, like which choice is it? Is this choice going to reflect my hopes and dreams, or is this choice going to reflect my fears? And as soon as I isolate which one, then I know which choice to make, and I'll always choose the joy and the hopes path, because that's what I want my life to reflect to me.
Right. Yeah. Makes total sense to me. I'll get to some of your texting questions too. I got a couple here that I'm going to ask Nicole when we get back from this break. Don't forget to, tomorrow night, Daniel Joseph will be back on the program from the researchersoftruth.org. Tonight we're here with Nicole Frolic, Enlighten Up podcast, or enlightenup.us is the website, also inflexiblemE.com. Stay with us.
If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm, or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
Do you want to know the truth? Are UFOs real? Are aliens visiting Earth? Are governments around the world hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO Seekers, official partner of The Fringe FM, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Join us as we investigate locations like Area 51 by subscribing on YouTube at youtube.com/UFO Seekers.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Alex. Hi, I'm Alex Exum, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
You're listening to Lighting the Void. The call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. If you would like to text, you can text in at 501-777-5631.
You can also call 501-424-5130. That's the call-in lines too, or 1-800-588-0335. Sorry, the sound went out there for a minute. I hit the wrong cue button. But Nicole Frolic is our guest tonight. And Nicole, I mean, I guess I can't talk to you without getting a little bit vulnerable on the air, because that's what you do. You help people. And so here we go, right? So how do I... And I'm sure that I'll be speaking for other people too, or I wouldn't even ask you this question. How do we make sure that we don't keep attracting the same type of people in our lives, right? Even though these types of people help us to grow. You know, I think everybody wants that. They want that 10 of cups, you know, they want that perfect person. Do we ourselves, maybe we're skipping cups ourselves, or do we have to become that person? Is that what you're saying, before we can attract that type of person?
Yeah, you have to, well, one, you have to see your own worth. You have to believe your own worth and know your own worth in order to attract that 10 of cups or 10 of pentacles, like into your life. You know, the easiest way to understand where you're tripping up in your relationships is, like, if you keep attracting the same kind of person into your life, is to look at them and use them as a mirror back into yourself, because that's all your external world is. It's a mirror reflecting what's going on inside of you. So, for instance, if someone cheated on you, okay, the likelihood is, well, for instance, I'll use myself as an example. I was cheated on when I was 26. And it made me feel like I wasn't good enough. And I didn't understand why I wasn't enough to this person, because if I was enough, they wouldn't have cheated on me.
No.
And this reality, it took me 7 years to get to this point. And it came through the desire to want to, finally be able to forgive and move on. And, I realized that he was just being my mirror. He was showing me what I actually thought about myself. I didn't believe I was good enough. So I kept attracting guys who wouldn't value me because I didn't know my own value. And so he really highlighted that to me. And because he highlighted that to me and I became aware of it and used him as my mirror, I knew that I had to start learning my own value. And that was a lot of deep work that I had to do on understanding what I needed to do to love myself more, to nurture myself more, to take care of myself more, and build my own value within, so that I could then have that reflected in a relationship, in the next man that would show up.
Do you think that maybe, just maybe, and I'm not trying to coach the coach here, by no means, but do you think just maybe that dude didn't think he was good enough? Like, or is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah, that too. Sure. I mean, someone who's going to sabotage a relationship, because I know for myself that I loved him very much and I treated him as well as, I guess I thought I could at that age. He didn't believe he was worthy of love. And I know that just based on his own childhood. So he created a situation that would sabotage it.
Exactly. Yeah, because any man would be a fool to cheat on you, Nicole. I'm just telling you, that'd be a fool, right? So,
well, here's the reality. I had a little crazy in me in my 20s, for sure. Okay, I was emotionally unstable. I really was.
Wait a minute. What sun sign are you? I'm
a Taurus.
You're a Taurus. What's your moon sign? I'm getting real personal now.
Moon, I'm Sag. And rising on Cancer.
Oh, no. Okay. All right. Well, yeah.
But
I could see that. I could see that.
My Venus and my Mars are in Aries, so I'm very passionate.
That's awesome.
And here's the thing is that the reason I was so emotionally unstable, Joe, is because I wasn't allowed to express my emotions when I was younger. I had to stifle everything down. And when we're not allowed to live authentically, eventually it comes up in a very toxic way because we're constantly trying to suppress it, and we don't know our own emotions because we're not allowed to get to understand them or know them. So that's what happened. And then, yeah.
Wow. That tells me so much about what's happened to me too. It's like right now, I'm just going to say, like, it's crazy. You can get on YouTube and learn anything. If you want to learn anything. The only thing you're not going to find on there is like what the meaning to life is or something. That's about it. And there's still people that's going to answer that. But there are people that want to be in relationships or with somebody so bad that they go to these gurus. And I did that too, man. Like these, and they're not pickup artists, but they study women and all this stuff. And if you're not careful, you're going to be somebody that you're not, right? You're going to attract somebody that you don't want. You're going to be somebody that you're not. And what these guys teach, and I'm just telling you this because what you said rings a bell. They teach is like, hey, women are attracted to, feminine women are attracted to masculine men. So don't display your emotions. Always be a mystery. Don't do this. Don't do that. And if you're a man that has, like me, that, I'm a Cancer moon and Libra rising, if expressing emotions is a part of who you are, then you're never really going to be truly authentic with somebody. Never. And in that relationship, you're always going to be uncomfortable. So, yeah, so I've learned that too, the hard way. Because after my divorce, I was like, man, I don't ever want to feel that kind of pain again, like ever, ever, ever in my life. So I picked up everything I could on women. And that's just the Mercury and the Aries in me and all this stuff that I analyze everything. I read romance novels. I went to the places the women went to. I read what they read. I figured this all out, right? But but I still wasn't being authentic, not all the way. Like when I get in my masculine side, I can be, but I would always hold back that other side of me, never show it. And what would happen is I would dated a bunch of girls over the past 8 years, like a bunch of them. But to sustain a relationship, you have to be totally authentic, man. Like you have to be yourself the whole way to get the right person. That sounds bad what I'm saying, but there's so many people doing that. For women too, they're going out and trying to figure out how to be, what to say, getting on YouTube. How do I do this? How do I do that? And some of that stuff is good, Nicole, don't get me wrong, but also if you're doing it to the point to where you're not letting yourself be who you are, then you're going to run into a problem. Don't you think?
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And here's the thing about, men being allowed to express their emotions. It's true. Women are attracted to a woman who's really in her femininity is attracted to a more masculine man.
Right.
It doesn't mean, though, that the masculine can't express his emotions. In fact, it's only through the journey that a man will take in reconnecting to the emotions that have been suppressed and allowing them to heal, that he gains the confidence in himself that allows that to exude from his own being. That is probably the most attractive quality that a woman will ever say about a man, is usually confidence. And he doesn't necessarily have to be the most physically attracted man, but if a man is very confident, most women are very attractive to that, or find him more attractive as the more they get to understand he is so confident. That confidence, though, is born through the understanding of who you truly are and feeling really comfortable with yourself. And you're only going to get there through all of the discomfort first. And so I'm okay with a guy being emotional, but again, I don't want to be with a guy who's hyper emotional.
Yeah, he's ultra sensitive all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing attractive to me about that. But again, I would then counter and say, I don't think a man wants to be with a woman who's crying all the time.
No. Not really.
Right?
No.
No, there's nothing attractive about that. It's unstable. And what we're looking for is stability in our relationships, right? So we have to create the stability within us first. And then that stability will attract more stability outside of you.
Yeah, because if you're a super emotional person, man, it's like I have this aunt who I love her to death, but man, she cries about everything. I watch a movie, she cries. This happens, she cries, and just pours it out. And I feel so sad for her, because when people cry like that, and we've all cried like that, right? We just pour out our emotions, but we become really vulnerable, and we wish somebody would give us a hug or say it's okay or whatever. But if you do it all the time, eventually people are going to be like, man, come on. And then you're going to push everybody away, and then you're going to feel really alone, So it's like you got to get that under wraps too. So. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's hard though. I can tell you it's hard as a man, because it's like a woman will push and they want you to put that. They want to see your emotions, right? Like, let me in kind of thing. And you don't want to do that. And then when you do, if you overdo it, then they're like, the next day they don't know why they're just not attracted to you anymore for some reason. And I think I see it happen all the time. I just see it happen left and right. And it's there's something inside of us, and I believe it's connected to our subconscious and the male and female energy that we're not aware of. I've talked about this a lot, and I think that if we understood it more, we would suffer less, if we could just understand what's really going on here.
If a woman is pushing you to be more emotional, and then when you is turned off by it, that means that she has not healed her own vulnerability, and is in resistance to her own vulnerability on some level that she's not aware of. And so she's pushing for you to be it because deep down she wants that for herself. And when she finally gets it, because she's not in acceptance of it, she's not going to accept you.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that. I don't know, like, when do we know that we're ready to be involved with somebody else? Because it's, This is something that's in every tarot reading and every astrological report right now, and I think it's going to keep happening until the late spring or whatever is what everybody's saying. But everybody keeps saying you need to learn to love yourself, and you said that too, right? You need to learn to love yourself before you can love anybody else. Which nobody wants to hear that. God, we're all tired of hearing that, right? But it's true. But at some point, it's really strange what happens, because when you do learn to love yourself and you're like, you know what, I'll be fine. I'll be fine by myself. I really will be. I actually prefer it in a lot of ways. And that's when it happens. That's when this person comes in, and then you're like, oh man, it just throws you off, So,
well, it's not just as simple as loving yourself. As much as we'd love to just believe that, I just need to love myself and then it's all going to be better. There are so many layers, that we're dealing with. For instance, I'll use myself as an example. I was dating this guy for almost a year, and to me, he was just like everything that I had been looking for in a man. And I wanted to open my heart up to him. I really wanted to express how I was feeling. And when I finally did, he was so unfamiliar with that kind of love that he didn't know what to do with it, and he shut down and ended up ghosting me.
Well, that's the worst thing you can do to somebody. Oof.
It's pretty
so
freaking
brutal.
painful. And what took me, and I was, like, you know what? How much freaking love do I have to give myself before this stops happening? Because I am certain that I am like loving myself. I know my value. So why is this happening still? I was really questioning a lot. And I had to, what was happening is that my inner child was feeling very abandoned, and unheard and unseen and forgotten. And what happened was, because that inner child within me was feeling that way, I created a situation through this relationship to reflect it back to me so I would become aware of it. Now, I didn't know at the time that that's what was happening. It took me a while to get there. But finally, when I was starting to do some of the work with the inner child, I realized that it was this sexual trauma that had happened to me when I was 5 or 6 that had caused me to never feel safe with anyone again. And that part was so painful to me at 5, and I didn't want to hurt my family, because I knew that if I told anyone, it would likely cause a lot of disruption within the family, that I decided to bury it and pretend it never existed. And so I forgot about it. I forgot about that part of me. I pretended it never existed, hence why psychics couldn't even see past it, because all they saw was blackness. And
damn, you walled it up good, didn't you?
Yeah. And so what I did to myself is what this guy ended up doing to me, because I didn't feel like I was seen. I didn't feel like I was heard. He ghosted me. He abandoned me and pretended like I never existed. Well, that's exactly what I did to my inner child. And so I created that situation because that needed to be healed, because what I desire so much now is to have that stability and safety in my relationships, to open it up and allow it to actually have the structure to last and take form. And so, which is very masculine energy. And so there's other layers beyond just self-love. There are other things that have to be healed, and we have to go back and heal the things that we've suppressed and forgotten about that maybe are now creating, because what we don't realize is that all of that subconscious programming, those beliefs, everything, it starts to play out in our realities in all different kinds of situations, and it will continue to repeat itself until we go back and heal it. And it took me 37 years to finally go back and heal it, and it's just some of the stuff that we have to be really aware of. So that's why I do a lot of work with the inner child, because it's so important to love yourself and nurture yourself and all of that. And it's great. But there is so much healing that has to happen, and acceptance and awareness and remembrance to the parts of us that we've disconnected from, the fractal parts of us that we need to recollect and bring back into union for ourselves in order to create more wholeness in our lives.
Yeah, that's pretty big of you to admit that too and talk about it, because that stuff's hard for me to talk about. You know, the inner child thing, and everybody doesn't want to talk about it. But I got this friend of mine, man, who's he's one of those genius guys when it comes to women, right? And he would always give me advice. He said, "Look, if you want to date a girl and you don't want to run into any issues, just look at their parents. Do their parents have a good relationship? Really figure that out first." And I'm like, okay, yeah, so that's cool, but it's hard to find. I mean, it's hard to find.
Not always the case. That's not always the case.
And not only that, it's hard to find anybody that doesn't have some type of, most of us didn't grow up with the Brady Bunch type parents, you know? So it's like, okay, now what? Because everybody's broken in a little bit. So you got to deal with that. And what people tell me and what they say that is the worst thing about me is I'm always hooking up with these, they quote, crazy girls who I want to fix or something. And that's not it. It's just like everybody I run into, it's not it at all. I swear to God. Everybody I run into has something in their past that's not good, man. You know, like I don't run into a lot of healthy families. We're in a different generation, I think.
Yeah. And you know, I would say he's not exactly, there's a level of correctness there, but not really. What he should have said is look at the relationship she has with each parent. That's usually somewhat of an indicator. I wouldn't say it's the be all and end all, but for instance, my relationship with my father and my mother has transformed greatly to the point where it's the best it's ever been. Now, and it's because I've transformed my relationship with myself, and I've become a lot more accepting of my masculine energy and feminine energy, and done a lot to heal that, which has allowed me to receive my parents and have a much more stable and stronger relationship with them, and accept them for who they are, because I've accepted myself in many ways. I still have work to do. We all do. But because of that, I've been able to accept them now, and I don't really care to change them. I'm okay with how they are. And so that's allowed me to just be in more harmony with my relationships. So looking at the relationship that person has with their mother or father is somewhat of an indicator. I would not go as far as to say it's your number one thing and that's all you need to know.
No, it's not. It wasn't his number one thing, but it was like, he's this guy that's like, I don't believe in the drama and all this other stuff. In other words, he's one of these dudes that thinks he's got it all figured out about women. And I'm like, the only thing that I figured out is these two energies that you're talking about. Like I see them at play in nature and I understand this part of it, but the inner child stuff is something that I'm just learning about now. And I'm almost 40 and I'm just learning about it, not just within myself, but with other people. So when somebody gives me I
only learned about the inner child
you got to be aware of it.
I was going to say, I only learned about the inner child at 39. So I was like right there with you.
Yeah. Like we know that's in there, but shouldn't be a problem, right? That's what we always think when we start talking to somebody. Oh, that's not a problem. I just won't let that become a problem, but you will. Eventually you'll get comfortable with somebody and then you'll let it all out, which is another thing we got to stop doing, right? Like Chris Rock says, when you meet somebody, you meet their representative, right? Like the first 90 days, you're not meeting them, you're meeting their representative. And I've never been that way. And I've always, maybe in high school, but there's adults that are still that way. You got to stop that stuff, man. Like you really got to stop that stuff. Just be who you are. Don't worry about what they don't like you. They don't like you. But
it's true.
We got to stop it. Like on both sides. Did you ever date anybody like off of the internet, like Match or anything like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many times did that turn out to be what they were representing? Like 1 out of 10 for me, maybe.
I know it's been it's an interesting process, experience of revelation but I will say this, just from my own experience, I find men are more forthcoming than women, just from the experiences I've heard men tell me versus what I've experienced. I think I've had a better experience in meeting the real guy versus
I've went on dates where women showed up and they weren't even the same person in the picture.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, yeah, see, that only happened to me once. And luckily I picked up on it before I actually met him. There was some divine intervention that happened, and I was able to catch up on it before I actually went out and met him. But that's the thing I'm saying is I think that women aren't as forthcoming and are more deceiving through the internet and their profile pictures than men are.
Why though? Why are they doing that? Stop it. Why?
Well, because we live in a society where women are pressured to be beautiful, and that their youth is also a representation of their fertility, and that is an attractive quality to men on a biological level. And so women will generally post younger photos of themselves, from what I hear, sometimes 20 years younger. And it comes from a place of clearly they don't believe that they're good enough to attract someone looking the way they look. And so they're trying to beat the odds, but it's really just wasting everyone's time at the end of the day. But I don't see men doing that so much.
That's a terrible thing to do. Ghosting somebody is terrible. That's just as bad as catfishing somebody. And I know that's a bad word, but that's what you're doing, man. You're like lying from the start. From the very jump, you're lying. And then that's bad, man. It's like I met this one person who the first time I ever saw him, they showed me their morning face, and that was so cool. I felt so comfortable. I felt actually attracted to it for once. I was like, yeah, they didn't care. They just was like, hey, I'm going to put my hair up and drink some coffee. I didn't even put any makeup on or anything. And I find myself way more attracted to that than this glamour thing or trying to hide it, or your fake book account. It's not really, that's like your representation of your life that you wish you have, but you really don't, with all the Snapchat filters and all that crap. It doesn't even look like you, and it's I get if you're going to do a photo shoot and you need to send out photos if you're marketing and stuff, but if you're dating somebody, I think you should make this new rule. We can start a trend right now, Nicole, where it's called morning face first date. Like everybody needs to wake up in the morning and just like they were living with the person, and then go out and have coffee and go on a date with them. Wouldn't things be so much better that way? Wouldn't we be more honest with ourselves? Like that would help, I think.
I think that would change the game incredibly.
Yeah, it would. You start a trend that way. I mean, because it's getting bad. They talk about like Gen X and millennials don't have as much as personal, I guess, time with each other. And I even got things like Tinder where you can just be like, yes, no, yes. Like I can't do that. I'm still too traditional, and I'm suffering for it. People laugh at me for it, but I'm old school. Show me what you look like for real with nothing, like bedhead. I don't care. That's the best way to be. So I don't want to get in. I think we're moving into a world where we're always going to meet somebody's representative. And when we get into this virtual reality thing, we're really going to be in trouble. I'm kind of afraid of it, Nicole, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I know it's scary how much we're programmed to disconnect from our own truth. That's true.
Yeah. So what would you give somebody advice, like if they want to be more authentic, but they really have a hard time with it, especially up front? When they meet new people, they can never be who they truly are. They always got to be something else. Would you say that was their inner child doing that, or would it be something else?
Okay. So here's the thing. we have so many different parts to ourselves. You know, we're very multidimensional, and we have our strengths and we have our weaknesses. It's usually good to lead with some strength, because you do want to attract someone, and someone is not going to be attracted to your weaknesses without knowing that there's some strength there. And so you do want to lead with some strength, but it's also important to, I say, test the waters with some of your, let's just call them weaknesses, which is some of the parts that we think people don't want to see. And it's not about going full Monty with it, because that's just not the way we, you know, it's just not the way we would generally do things. You just want to be realistic about it. You know, like, if I'm talking to someone and all of a sudden all they're doing is telling me about all the things that have gone wrong in their life and all of the hardships they've gone through, I'm going to tend to perceive, you know, that this person is only going to want to focus on what's going wrong in their life. And that's not attractive to me. Now, if someone is talking about a lot of their strengths, but then shows some vulnerability, it's more appealing, because now I know there's some stability there and there's a safeness created through that. And I'm now also seeing, like, wow, this person has shown me some strength, some confidence, that sort of stuff. But they're also willing to show me, like, some of the shadow aspects of themselves, or the parts that they maybe don't show everyone. To me, that makes me feel honored as a person. I'm like, oh, wow, they trust me enough to share some of that with me. And it's this, I find, Dance, of, like, there is some truth to the saying of, you know, some mystery is good, because you don't want to just say your whole life story all at once. You want someone to take the time to get to know you through the layers and be able to digest it all and really appreciate everything at a time. Because if we try to, it's like, if you think about it, if you go to a buffet and you fill your plate and you try to eat it all in 10 minutes, you have indigestion after. But if you take your time and you eat over, like, 5 hours, and you take your time filling your plate, and then you maybe go up to the GAN for seconds, it's a much more enjoyable experience. So kind of related to that. I don't know if that makes sense.
Maybe I'm doing it all wrong, because maybe buffet was the wrong analogy for me, because I like to load it up, I don't know if I have starved myself before too, just to see. I know what you're talking about though. Yeah. So, yeah, but at least I don't really care as long as I know someone's being real with me. But there's some people out there, and I learned this when I was selling cars, Nicole, that lie so much that they believe their own lies, that they really, they're so used to it. There's lying, there's compulsive lying, and then there's what's above compulsive liar? Well, they just live in lies. What is that? So what
sociopathic?
Sociopath, right? Okay, and they believe in their lies so much that you'll believe them. Like, these people, you will pass every lie detector thing there is. And I've taken those classes, how to detect if somebody's lying or whatever. And these people can get right through that because they've convinced their brain they're telling the truth. They're convinced of their own reality. And I don't think that's another reason why I don't really like the online dating world. I think there's something to be said about meeting somebody, shaking their hand, looking them in the eye, having a conversation with them. Like, that's going away for real. And I don't like it. And
I agree.
I think that's
I agree. I miss those days.
Yeah, they're gone, right? Like texting too. My son was showing me about this. He's like, there's the right way to text a girl and the wrong way. And I'm like, why don't you just call her? Pick up the phone and talk to her. Well, because, she won't like me if I can't text properly or something. I'm like, who cares? I hate it. I sound like I'm whining now, don't I? I'm starting to complain a lot about this, but it does get on my nerves though. Like, I want to be able to talk to somebody. If I like a girl and I pick up the phone, honestly, I just want to make a date. That's what I want to do. When can we hang out? Let's go do that. And people think, wow, and you're pushy. No, I just want to see you in person, hear your voice, pick up on your vibe and stuff. I wouldn't be pushy if it was the 50s, but I'm pushy because we're in 2020. I'm angry about it too, if you can't tell.
Well, you're triggered, which is very interesting. I've been thinking about it. I'm like, what is it about communication that's triggering Joe?
I don't like that thing that we do. I mean, it's like, I love the chat room, but I'd rather you call in. I'd rather hear your voice. I have this thing. I guess I have this kind of thing where maybe it's the way that I relate to people that I don't like this whole computer world. Actually, not really. I don't like.
Okay, so I gotta ask you the question real quick because I know you're probably gonna have to go to a break soon. But
we skipped the break. I have to wait till the next one.
What about okay? If you're being triggered this much, okay, that is a clear indicator that there is a part of you, likely your inner child, that is feeling miscommunicated with or connected with in general. Have you really gone in there and connected with him and listened to him? Let him really just speak to you?
My inner child? How do I talk to him?
Mm-hmm.
What do I say to him? Shut up. Stop whining. That's usually what I say.
Yeah, that's kind of the same response that you're getting from these people who don't want to go out in person with you.
Well, tell me how I go about this. How do I go about this, what you're talking about?
So what's happening is because you're so triggered by that, to me, that's an indication that it's a reflection that's being your higher self. It's pulling into your awareness to be like, hey, you've got to go in and you got to heal this. Your inner child, that little boy within you from whatever age, maybe it may be 4, maybe 5, it may be 8, it may be 12, it doesn't matter. But there's a part of you that is feeling like you've completely disconnected from him and you won't hear him. You're not interested in what he has to say. You're not taking him seriously, and he really wants to be heard. And you may just want to go in there and let him speak to you as opposed to you speaking to him. And just ask him, what do you want to tell me? What is it you want to share with me? Do you meditate, Joe?
Yeah, not as much as I should.
Okay, so you can do it in reflection. I've done it in meditation and out. It works both ways. So I know there are people who just don't like meditating. So, but you go in there and you just kind of sometimes it's helpful to have a picture of yourself from a certain age and really see yourself show up and then transport or project your current self into the situation with him or her, whoever's listening, guy or girl, and you have a conversation. And sometimes they'll say something to you that is so profound, yet so simplistic, and it'll really stir up a lot of emotions for you. And you realize how wounded they actually are and how much they need you to basically be the parent to them, to tell them and remind them whatever it is. I mean, for instance, for me, it was I needed to remind her she was safe, needed to remind her that she did nothing wrong, and to know that that I am protecting her now, that she's protected. So whatever it is for you, Joe, in what he's not feeling, because there's clearly this desire to want to connect with you, but you're not willing to connect because you're now attracting people who are not as willing to connect with you on the level that you want. That's how your inner child's feeling towards you.
Gotcha. Okay. But if somebody walks in on me talking to my inner child, they're going to think I'm crazy.
You don't have to be saying it out loud. It's all usually in your head. Think of it as a telepathic conversation.
I got you. Okay, so I'll lock the door because I don't want my son to. I've traumatized my son already with stuff. He's already walked in on me doing a ritual. Imagine you're 9 years old and you walk in on your dad in a black towel robe doing a magic ritual. What would that do to your head? And then now I don't want him to walk in and I'm having a conversation with a baby that's not there. So lock the door and then have the conversation. Gotcha. We'll pick up from there too.
Yeah, it's
go ahead. It's scary.
I was just going to say, it's usually telepathic. For me, it's always been telepathic. I've never actually spoken the words out loud. But I mean, some people could. I'm not saying that's not a way, but.
Right. Well, maybe we can do a show about that. One day I'll have a conversation with my inner child, and I'll let the child talk back. That'd be a pretty cool show, right? I mean, it would be kind of crazy.
That would be super fun.
Yeah, it would be. Look,
be wild.
We have somebody that wants to talk to you. 602 area code. You're on the air with Nicole Frolic. Who are you speaking with?
Well, hello, Joe. And Nicole, thank you for coming in. Actually, Joe, I just wanted to call and back you up on that texting thing. She says you're triggered, but it triggers me too, and it's because of something my daughter said to me one time.
Oh, yeah? What was that?
Specifically, she was texting someone on her phone, and I said, why don't you just call the guy? She said, because it's easier to lie to him this way.
Oh, my God. Maybe that's why they do. Maybe that's why.
Anyway, it's possible. I agree with you. I really don't consider someone to be a real person until I can see him eye to eye. And I hate to say that because I have a lot of friends online, but you're not really real until I can shake your hand.
Yeah.
Or at least talk to you.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So anyway, I got to get back to work, but I just thought I'd give you a holler. Thanks for everything.
You too, brother. Thanks for listening. I forgot to ask him what his name was and where he's calling from. But anyways, thanks for your call. See, I'm not the only one like that. And you know what? Maybe that is why we text, because we can hide easier, Like we can hide in the text messages. We don't have to reveal anything.
Well, also, what's happening through social media is it's silencing the voice. And people aren't actually comfortable using their voice to speak their truth, because there are a lot of annotations that come with that. There's a lot of emotion that can be read through the voice, and you're on the spot when you're talking to someone. So with text, you have time to think about it, rewrite it, change it, ask someone else for their advice. What should I say this? Should I not? And there's such a lack of mistrust in your own truth, and then not even being able to verbally say it out loud. So there's a huge mistrust and disconnect happening with those who grew up in only the tech age of social media and texting. Like you, Joe, I also grew up with the phone and all of that, and so there's a completely different connection that happens on the phone versus text. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and even back in the day. When I was a kid, we had a phone. We had two phones, one touchstone and a phone that you actually had to put your finger in a hole and pull around and let go. Right? That was the phone. So if you had a conversation, let's say you stayed up all night talking with a girl on the phone, it was something that was a big deal. Now it's not a big deal. Now you can talk and text, whatever. But it was a big deal then because, everybody else wanted the phone. Get off the phone.
Mm-hmm.
The phone was a sacred thing. Now it's an attachment to everybody,
Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
Can you feel energy? Like, I've had people tell me, I can feel your energy from here. Is that possible? Is that real?
Oh, yeah. Of course, because energy is not bound by time and space.
Yeah, but isn't there some type of, what is it called, a morphic field around the human body or something that puts off energy too? That's a different thing, right?
I mean, there are things that can disturb the energy fields, of course, but you're absolutely able to bypass all of that if you're tuned in enough.
Okay. I don't feel nothing right now. I mean, I'm happy that I'm talking to you because you're really cool. You're like a cool, happy, knowledgeable, really hip person. but I don't feel anything. See, I'm trying to learn how to feel this energy stuff too. Do you feel mine? Mine's a little triggered and frustrated, isn't it? You could tell.
I actually saw two colors, which I don't know how you're going to feel about it if I tell you, but
black and red, right? Is that what you're going to say?
Pink and purple, actually.
Oh man, pink and purple. We got to take a break.
Yeah.
We got to take a break. No, but if you look, you probably can read me a lot better than most, though. But I think people kind of know that. You nailed that about me. If anybody's been listening to the show, all you got to do is go to my website and you can see, I think the deepest parts of people come out in their creations. That's what I think. So I built that website and you can see all the colors that are in me in that website, you know. That makes
Perhaps
sense to you?
I'm seeing the colors that want to really come through you.
Pink and
but
purple?
aren't allowed yet. We can talk about that when we come back from the break.
There's not another color. There's no other color you're picking up besides pink and purple? Maybe, you know.
Those are the two that are for some reason showing up in my third eye. Man. I didn't get any masculine colors whatsoever. Pink, purple. You could have at least said green or something. Is purple a masculine color? Yeah, it is actually.
Yeah. It's also the bisexual flag, too, by the way. Pink and purple, I think. Pink, purple, and pink. Sorry.
Is it? I don't know.
Yes, it is. We'll be right back with Nicole Frolic. Can't believe it's already... We only got like one segment left. Stay with us.
Joseph Roop is your host. Pull back the blinds and uncover the truth. This is Lighting the Void Radio.
You're listening to the Fringe FM.
Somewhere between abnormal and paranormal, there's a show called Into the Paranormal. I'm Jeremy Scott. Hear me live Saturdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern on the Fringe FM.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you're interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm. Or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
Listen, I want to tell you about G.I. Joy from GetTheTea.com. It's the best alchemical concoction of goodies for your stomach and digestive system I can recommend, and that's all based on my experience. Packed with colostrum, acidophilus, aloe, peppermint, and turmeric. If you do your own research, then you know this is the bee's knees for the stomach and digestion. Now, due to Big Brother's ears and the eye in the sky, you know I can't go into the details about what it helped me with. All I can say is I got relief. It's non-GMO, no fillers, no preservatives, manufactured right here in the US of A, and delivered to you by the only people who stay on top of the game and are out in front. Go grab a bottle of G.I. Joy at GetTheTea.com and see what all the fuss is about. Again, that's GetTheTea.com.
Hi, this is Sammy. Join us in the Deep South as we're lighting the void with Joe Roop on the Fringe FM.
Right, me old Chiners.
I know it's an ad break, but before you lot shoot off and make yourself a cup of Rosie Lee or whatever else it is you're going to sling down your Gregory Peck, you need to listen to me babble. If, like me, you found your way to Lighting the Void via a downloadable podcast, you might want to take a butcher's at the Fringe FM Wind and Kite. You won't Adam and Eve how many other shows there are or what they rabbit on about. Ancient history, conspiracy, the consciousness, the esoteric, the occult, metaphysics, parapolitical, ufology, technology and spirituality to name but a few. They got featured hosts like Ryan Gable, Jeremy Scott, Alex Exum, Tim Doyle, Cortana and Gigi, Susanna Ross, the Reverend John Polk, Michael Deacon and J.D. Lewis. You might find yourself listening to the thoughts and theories of the author of the fish you just finished reading. Or you could pick up the dog and bone, call in and tell everyone your own beliefs or experiences. So do me a favour, before you put on the Ansel or crack open a bottle of vino or roll a joint, go to the Fringe FM and see what you're missing.
Are you intrigued by paranormal talk radio? You'll love the new paranormal radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Ew, yuck. They're unhealthy and gross. Bugs, I hate bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. From contact, it kills bugs. Plus, Orange Guard kills hidden bugs and keeps new bugs away for weeks. I know. I use Orange Guard. Plus, all of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally regarded as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It promotes a healthier planet, and here's a bonus. Orange Guard cleans where it's sprayed. Plus, it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard.
You can get Orange Guard at Ace Hardware. And listen, folks, Orange Guard is tougher than bugs, and it's safe to use. Go to orangeguard.com. That's orangeguard.com.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. I am your host, Joe Roop. Stay tuned. After this broadcast, the Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable will be on. And that's what we do. Like at night, we do the best here at Fringe FM during the night, probably from drive time all the way till the early morning. And we do this 5 nights a week. And then the weekend shows, if you just tuned in for the station for the first time, we got just as good weekend shows. You know, we got Beyond the Strange, Into the Paranormal, The End of Days. We also got Shift Happens, so we're going to get new shows coming. So I just want to thank you all for listening to the Fringe FM. As we're going through this new round of upgrades, we're upgrading equipment, we're upgrading the staff, we're upgrading our models and how we do things. And so we really appreciate y'all's support, because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, the listener. I just wanted to say that real quick. And so before the break, we were talking about energy, Nicole, and you said that you picked up 2 colors from me. It's like pink and purple. Honestly, if I don't sound like a pink and purple guy, do I? I mean, really, like if you was my first impression when you very first heard me talk, did you think pink and purple, like right off the bat?
Well, no, and if you remember, I said you're not going to like this. I knew you weren't going to like it. But here's what I believe I'm picking up on is that pink is representative of many things like love and but for you, I'm feeling that it's forgiveness is there, and then the purple for me is more of a transmutation that's coming. So there's like I think I'm picking up on the pink and the purple because there's a need for forgiveness here to allow you to transmute something that you wish to move beyond?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I was just asked by someone a couple of days ago. It was like, hey, what's your favorite color? And I was thinking, well, I really do like pink. Pink is my favorite color. I wear pink when I play golf. Yeah. But midnight blue is another one too. And I think if you put those together, you get some form of purple, right? So there you go. Mm-hmm. And look at this. Like we were talking about being authentic, and everybody in chat's just showing pictures of themselves now. I'm seeing people for the first time. You see? That's good. Y'all keep doing that. We'll have to do something where we can see everybody's face one of these days. But pink and purple. And you're saying it's something about transmutation. Where the hell's the pink coming from then? Or is that part of it?
I'm sensing that there's a part of you that needs to forgive yourself. And it's going to deal with, I think because we were talking a lot about the inner child coming up, I think that's why that color was kind of coming through for me, is that I think it's more of the younger you, the smaller you, the repressed and forgotten you. There's a forgiveness there that is needed, that will allow you to transmute your next relationship, like allow you to transmute
to my next relationship. Well, now we're talking. Yeah. Now what are we talking about here?
Well, you're saying that you're ready and you want something to show up that is reflective of what you desire.
Isn't that just the Libra in me, though, that's doing that? Like that part of myself that wants, because Libras always want a partner, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it could be. That could be part of it. I don't want to say it's not. But there's also this need to see. A lot of times when we desire something so much and we keep hitting a brick wall, eventually we'll get to a point of like, what am I doing wrong or what am I missing? And there may be something you're missing, which I believe is tied to your inner child. And you've got to go in there and
dig it
talk
out
to him and find out what it is. Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, that's what I'm going to do after this show, Nicole. I'm going to have a talk with my inner child.
Good. Now, you got to let me know how it goes.
We're going to take this phone call, but how young should I go? Baby, toddler, 8 years old? What do you think?
You will know. You will know. Just go with whatever comes first. Just go with let him show up and he'll be whatever age.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can't be a Power Ranger, that's for sure, because I'm not going to be the Pink Ranger. Let's see, 406 area code. You're on the air. Who are we speaking with?
Hi, this is Kat. Hi, Joe. Hi, Nicole.
Hey, Kat. What's on your mind? What's up?
Oh, I'm enjoying everything you're saying, Nicole. Thank you so much. And
you're welcome.
I once did an inner child workshop once with a group of people, and this lady was a counselor, so she kind of taught us how to do that, how to heal your inner child. But you got to remember to do it all the time because, your ego or the hurt side or whatever comes out more. But that's not what I wanted to ask you. I wanted to say it's hard to be authentic when you're into the paranormal because you can't just start meeting people and then just put it out there. It's paranormal in my feeling is still in the closet. I mean, we have Ancient Aliens and we have Sci-Fi Channel. We have all this alien stuff and people laugh about it and they enjoy it and they watch it. But secretly, they still can't seem to come out and really talk about it. So, I mean, when you're getting to know somebody, where's the point where you enjoy the person and you got the same interests and you laugh and having a good time showing, your authentic self on some sides. But at some point, you got to let them know you're into the paranormal. So my question is, where do you do that?
You're going to have to get really comfortable with yourself being so interested in the paranormal. And, one of the things that I've learned through my experience of like what you're talking about is I eventually just stopped hiding my like intuitive abilities or whatever it is, or just talking about anything that some people would consider strange. And it when you can talk about it with such an air of like confidence in you just, this is just something you're interested in, it will have a different impact on the person you're talking to. Now, if someone can't accept that part of you and to the point where they don't even want to talk to you anymore, that was just a really good way of going through an interview or clearing the path of knowing that they're not really of a place where you're there, like you're not a good match vibrationally for whatever it is, maybe it's friendship, an intimate relationship, whatever it may be. But the more accepting you become of it and not feeling hesitant to share it and really having the confidence, that vibration of confidence is going to be really attractive to people, and they'll probably see the confidence more so than the actual paranormal part of the conversation. And they may even be interested in just hearing what you have to say, just because you speak with such confidence. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. I mean, I've met different people, wasn't dates or anything, and I'm very confident about it now because it is more out there now.
Yeah,
and there's
definitely
so many.
I was going to say, yeah,
there's so many talk shows
now,
and people
actually.
talk radio. Yeah. So it's better. So I don't get so many of the looks as I used to. But I look back, on people I dated a long time ago, and I just thought, you know what, if I had just toned it down a little bit, then maybe I just could have enjoyed my paranormal on the side, but I still would have had a really great relationship with that person. But then I know you'd say, well, you're not being honest and, authentic with yourself. But I mean, I've known many couples that say, oh, they're really into that, but husband and wife, but I'm not into that. They just do different things, but they've made their relationship last for years. So I don't know. Sometimes I look back and wonder maybe I should have, but no, maybe not,
We need to start our own date line, like Fringe date line. I mean, Coast to Coast is doing that paranormal date thing. We need to start like a Fringe date thing, like Fringe hookup.
I'd ask people who've done that stuff like that, but they didn't have a lot of luck with it. They said, I don't know.
Well, you ain't gonna have no problems.
Someone in the closet.
How many dates do you go on, Kat? Like a month? You probably go on like five or six dates a month, don't you?
Oh, yeah, 10, 20, 30.
Listen, I swear, like, as far as my listeners go, I know 3 guys right now that would date you if you gave them a chance. So I don't even think you should worry. Maybe it's like you're from one of those places kind of like I am, where maybe you're just out in the middle of a place where people don't get to know you that well. Like, my neighbors think I'm a devil worshiper because I read tarot cards, for heaven's sake. I mean, if I lived in somewhere in the West or like California or Portland or something, you and I, we'd be all popular and stuff, probably.
Yeah, I still think, I mean, in certain places I can talk about the paranormal, but on the whole, you still get the giggles, you still get the looks, it's still like that. And I just don't want to miss somebody that's possibly, maybe a good match that just isn't really into the paranormal. Which is,
No, that's not how it works. So how it works is you came here to be you. And each one of us came here to be us. And the sooner we embrace ourselves fully, the sooner we create the quantum field of acceptance with others. The reason why there may be some hesitation on people accepting you in the beginning is because you haven't yet created the quantum field of strength and empowerment of that belief yet. But the more you continue to share yourself authentically and fully without any hesitation, you create moment to moment a stronger quantum field, and you'll continually go into timelines where you will attract people who are accepting of you fully. Remember, in order to have the outside world change, you have to be that change, and you have to be so fully accepting of yourself, otherwise people won't. So if there's any hesitation on your end, that energy or any kind of fear, remember that energy is getting projected into your reality.
Yeah.
Okay, so say you go on, okay, what number date do you say, oh, and by the way, I'm interested in extraterrestrials and UFOs. I'm like, what number of the date should you let it out?
The first date. The first one.
Yeah. Okay, bye. See ya.
Well, I mean, hey, your time is precious, and you are who you are. I would let it out on the first date. What are you most passionate about?
You would?
Yeah, man. If I was dating you and you sat in front of me, and I'd say, hey, tell me what you're most passionate about. And then usually when I ask people that, they'll tell me, well, I work at a coffee shop. I'm like, no. I don't care where you work. Tell me what you're passionate about. Because that's how you get to know somebody, right? And you don't want to go on 3 or 4 dates and waste your time with somebody like that anyways. Just let them reject you and move on. You'll find the right person.
Well, I'll take everything you said to heart, Nicole, so thank you.
You better take what I said to heart, too.
Joe wants to fill the plate all the way up to the top and eat it all in like one bite. Whereas I'm more of a moderation is important to embrace.
I've had that experience, Joe. I have said it right out front, and then it's just like, see ya. So, I mean,
Well, that's good. Let them go, man. They don't deserve you.
Let them go. The point is that it's important. It's actually, it's not even the paranormal stuff that's important right now to anchor into, as far as I'm concerned. What's more important right now to anchor into is that you feel like it's a bartering chip to be accepted. And there shouldn't ever be a bartering chip there for you to sacrifice who you are. So it's not so much that you have to hide it, but it's also not to the point where you throw it in someone's face, because that's not the kind of energy you want to bring forth. You just want it to come out organically. So if it organically comes out in conversation, go with it. If there's an opening for it, take it. But don't be talking about one thing and then that has nothing to do with that, and then just oh, by the way, I'm really into this, because it doesn't make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you'd be happier with somebody like that, right? Like somebody you could stay up and watch UFOs with and talk about this stuff with and go to conferences.
Exactly.
That's what you want.
Or at the end of the day, he doesn't have to be into it, but he can accept it because it makes you happy. If he knows it makes you happy, he's like, well, I don't necessarily believe in it, but if you do and it makes you happy, I'm totally supportive of that. That's okay too.
Yeah, that is cool. That's pretty cool too.
Right. Yeah, I'm accepting of that too. So, well, thank you, both of you. I'll definitely remember what you said. So thank you.
Yeah, if you get down and do some of Nicole's coaching and stuff, or the one-on-ones, and she'll help you attract that perfect person. I bet you money. Don't you still do tarot readings for people and stuff, or one-on-one sessions, Nicole? Or is it more of the schools? Did you hear what I said? Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
I don't know what happened to Nicole, but I know that
she dropped again.
Did she drop? Okay. Well, we'll just get her back on the line, but she does help you with that. And if you go to her website, actually, if you go to her website,
I got my mermaid cards. I've been doing my own mermaid cards, and they say set your flights higher. I pull that card a lot.
Nicole, are you there?
Yeah, I dropped out for a second, I guess.
So if Kat wanted help with that, she could go to your website and get a one-on-one with you, right, to help her come into that better? Do you still
absolutely.
do that?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Because I know you got the school there, the AlcheME school, but I didn't know if you're still doing one-on-one.
Oh, no, I do. Yeah, I do one-on-one coaching, tarot readings, a combination, all of that stuff.
That'll probably help too, Kat. And we love you here. Anytime you want to call in, or you can even say, "Hey, Joe, help me find a date." If I'm out your way, I'll take you out. I'll take you out.
Oh, thank you.
I mean,
we'll go get a burger together.
Why not? But yeah, thanks for calling.
All right, take care.
Love you. Bye.
Bye, Kat.
Love you too. Bye.
Yeah, see, that to me, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That woman right there is probably one of the kindest, sweetest women I've ever met in my entire life. and shouldn't be having any problems with this, you know. So there's something we're not picking up on. And I really think that what you teach and what you talk about, Nicole, especially with understanding our inner selves, our inner child, understanding these two energies that are in us, like we really start to, I mean, even on an esoteric level, really get to understand this stuff. We can transform our lives, especially through relationships and the relationships that we have with ourselves too.
You know, it's the most empowering thing when you realize you're the creator of your reality and that you have full control over what your life is turning out to be. And what a lot of times we don't understand is that the subconscious is dictating the majority of our reality. So what we're consciously trying to attract or what we consciously believe we want, it may not be in alignment with our subconscious, and we have to really become aware of that, heal it, reprogram it, and get it in alignment with what we truly want to create right now. So when we start to realize that, this isn't what I want in my life, and we take the road of victimhood of like, why me? Like, why does this keep happening to me? You know, I'm doing everything right. It's like, there's something we're missing. And as soon as you take into power that I'm creating this, it is just so liberating that you can go in there, find out what it is, change it, heal it, and basically transmute the whole situation.
Yeah. Yeah, man, you're so right. This stuff is really cool once you start learning how it all works too. Here's the thing too, Nicole, it's like golf. You know, right when I think I got something figured out, I think I got my swing down, I go to the next hole and I can't even keep it in the fairway. So I don't know. I guess if I was to dig down into my subconscious and have that talk with my inner child, which I was thinking about, that child believes that there is no such thing as a happily ever after. That we see this stuff in movies and books and movies and stories, but my life experience and my experience viewing everybody else's lives and stuff doesn't show me a happily ever after. It just doesn't. Mm-hmm. And even when I get glimpses of that, they're very few and far between. And in my life, when I was a child or a teenager, I would become extremely attracted to those situations and would go stay the night at my friend's house or just stay there as long as I could because I wanted to be around that. And then sooner or later, I would learn that happily ever after didn't exist there either. So it doesn't exist anywhere. So the child knows, I think, my inner child knows, and its heart is broken because there's no such thing as that.
And think about how long the child has had that belief versus the newfound knowledge that you've come into understanding through your own journey and spiritual work. Those are still relatively new understandings compared to the happily ever doesn't exist belief, right? That's been in there a long time. It's been running the show for a really long time. So that, knowing that the subconscious creates 90% plus of our reality, you then realize why you keep creating situations that end up in not a happily ever after.
Fascinating. That is fascinating. And I was learning too that something that I was talking about with astrology and tarot, that we're all going through these stories or these 12 energies, signs, and these planets. They all they play their roles through this alchemical process. So what I mean by that is like maybe you and I you're not an Aries, but let's just say we are. We both are going to be going through the same types of transitions, but the plot points or the characters or the energy may represent itself differently. In your life, it may be a boss and a job, or in my life, it may be a relationship, but that same kind of transmuting energy of that certain planet's going to be there. And I see this all the time. And I think we can't really crack the code. We just got to recognize the energy that's there. And like you're saying, that you've taught me tonight, we need to ask, why is that there? It just didn't show up for nothing. It's there for a reason. That person's in your life for a reason, or that job you're doing is for a reason, or this way you feel right now is there for a reason,
The easiest question, the best question, I should say, that you can ask yourself when you get into a situation, you're like, why is this still happening to me? The better question is, why did I create this?
Yeah. Why did I create this?
That will help you. Right. Yeah. Why did I create this? And then it's like, okay, what am I missing? What still needs my attention, my awareness that I'm avoiding? Because the only reason I created it was to bring more awareness to that, because that's truly what we're doing here is we're expanding our awareness more and more, right? It's just continuously expanding it and understanding and learning and growing. And so ask yourself, why did I create this? And you'll get a better answer.
That's a scary thought. Because I'm thinking about all the good stuff in my life, and I know why I created that. The people in my life, like why I'm talking to you right now, why I have certain friends that I have, why I'm interested in these certain type of people. But then it's the bad stuff I think we don't want to look at. That's what we I think that's the thing that we look at it and we know, yeah, I know I need to deal with that, but I don't know. I brought up this statement. You can tell me how true this is. Like the human being will put in more effort to prevent pain than it will to gain pleasure. That's what I've noticed.
Say that again.
Humans as a whole, just in my life, I'm not saying all humans, will put more energy and effort into preventing pain than they do getting pleasure and fulfillment.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't you see something inherently wrong with that?
Oh, absolutely. But that's what we're programmed to do. When you think about it, just through the health system, the Medicaid, like the prescription drugs, like we're just taught to continuously numb, like move away from the pain. And that's why, like I said in the beginning, like the only way out of pain is to go into it. It's the only way out. But damn,
that's scary.
Yeah, it's a natural instinct to want to avoid it because it hurts.
So that guy that ghosted you, right? You remember how that felt?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you reach out to that guy a couple of times? You know, like, or did you?
I reached out to him once.
Okay. And
then, you want to hear something really funny? This will. Once I started connecting with my inner child, he reconnected with me.
Yeah, isn't that funny how that works?
And now I'm coaching him.
That's cool, though. See, that's karma, and that's cool, and that's, and we hear that word karma, and we think it's bad, but it's not bad, man. Like that guy is being healed and becoming a better person through your ability to coach, forgive, and understand. After, like that's why I don't believe in burning bridges. But this new ghost thing, people are talking about like ghosting. He ghosted me, and like I've never done that to somebody. Like I'll give people space and stuff, but eventually if I start to feel them really fading away and I don't want that to happen, I'll reach out once or twice. And I don't do it in a nonchalant way or like, hey, how about them Yanks? I tell them why I'm reaching out to them. And then if they decide to go, then they go, and that's on them. But you did the best you could. You did what you felt was right. And I think that's all that matters. I think you're getting rewarded for that. That's so cool. That's really cool, actually.
Well, it's like I said, once you heal that part of you that's calling out so desperately for your attention, for your awareness, once you go in and heal it, the very thing that was creating it in your reality, like for instance, so this guy ghosting me, now no longer exists. That energy charge is gone. I've healed it. I'm no longer creating from that place anymore because I finally, reconnected with that small part of me, that 5-year-old who felt completely abandoned and pushed aside and forgotten. And so once I started communicating with her and reconnecting with her and showing up for her, he showed back up in my life. It was very interesting to observe.
So this wasn't that long ago then, right? I mean,
no, this has all happened within less than a year.
Wow, that's fascinating. See, and you're a good teacher too, because like you're good teachers. We look at teachers like they know it all, but really teachers are just students on a different level. And that's what's happening to you. You're learning from what you teach right now. I can tell. That's cool. That's really cool. I want to tell me about that. Tell me about go ahead and tell me what you're going to say before I was going to try to ask you about your course, but go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say that I think we're always teachers and students, every single one of us.
Yeah.
And when you realize that, then you're always in a place because you learn the most when you are the teacher, because you're then calling in experiences to be the student. So it's like that. You can't have one without the other. So
right.
You are the teacher and the student. Right.
Yeah. So if I wanted to learn from you, well, we got a few minutes. Listen, I really want you to tell everybody, because you spent, I don't know if you've ever done a late night show, but the fact that you spent 3 hours with us here on Lighting the Void says a lot to me, and I really appreciate it. And I would love it if you could tell everybody how they can work with you and get your services.
Well, I do coaching. I do online coaching. So I do it through Zoom. So it's video, so that I can see you and you can see me, because like you were saying, I think it's important for there to be face-to-face interaction.
Right.
There's a lot to be read through that. So I do online coaching. I also do tarot readings. You can get them recorded, or you can get them in online with me in real time. You can also mix like coaching and tarot together if you want that. Although like I also know not everyone can afford online coaching, and so I created a program called AlcheME, which is about helping you go through the transformational journey of the soul, right? That self-alchemy, and how to navigate that. And I give you a lot of tools and personal stories and a whole bunch of stuff in there. So you'll get guided meditations every month. You get every month I do a live call where I'll go over the current astrology energies, planetary alignments that are influencing us to do our shadow work, bringing things up to be healed. I then go into personal stories, because I think it's important to share, and then also go into exercises or teachings that I think will be helpful for you to implement in your life. And then I also do timeless tarot readings for the entire group once a month as well. So every month I'm uploading new information to the program, and no matter when you sign up, you have access to it all. It's all archived. And so you just have a growing amount of information, meditations, and readings to learn from. And it's only $11 a month. And I created it so that people have a place to if you can't afford the coaching, you get somewhat of like a group coaching in there, because on the live call, I'll take questions and you can ask me stuff, and I'll do my best to guide you through what's happening. So I'll coach you through some stuff online, or you can send in questions and I'll answer them for you. So it's my way of kind of allowing other people to receive some guidance that I know not everyone can afford it on the online, like individual.
We'll see Voidwalkers tomorrow night, same time, same channel. To a shout out to all you guys in the Fringe FM chat. Don't copy the show without written permission. See you guys tomorrow night. Good night.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the Fringe FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting, its sponsors, affiliates, or staff. Listener discretion is advised.